Sunday afternoon in the Pacific Northwest as Fox Sports welcomes you to Seattle. A pivotal early season matchup in the NFC West as the unbeaten first place Seattle Seahawks get set to host the St. Louis Rams. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the NFL on Fox. Kenny Albert along with Brian Baldinger. Year 6 for Mike Holmgren here in Seattle, and the Seahawks are playing terrific football. They're off to a 3-0 start, Brian, and they've only allowed 13 points.
That means their defense is playing good, Kenny. Not just good, they're playing great. They're the #1 ranked defense in the National Football League coming into this weekend's action. They've only given up 1 touchdown, and really it's Ray Rhodes. And this is his second year here, and everywhere Ray goes, the defense gets better. He demands it. And right now in the secondary, they're playing very, very good. They've only given up 1 touchdown the whole year. There's the cornerbacks right there, Kenny Lucas and Marcus Trufant. These guys have played outstanding. They're a zone defense, and today, I think for the first time, they're really going to get tested in the secondary by this Rams offense.
Yes, the challenge for the #1 ranked defense of the Seahawks today, go out and stop the high-flying St. Louis Rams.
Yeah, and I think Mike Martz, the head coach, lives for these kind of games, a chance to really kind of showcase his passing game. He's the architect, but it's his quarterback, Mark Bulger, who's just gotten off to a fantastic start. You know, this is his first true year of starting. Came in as a starter. He's the starter. He's completing almost 70% of his passes. And he said he's just so sure of himself in this offense right now. Look for him to go down the field early and often today with the passing game. But, folks, we got a bonus treat for you here today. We've got the 2 best offensive linemen in the NFC on the field today. Orlando Pace from the Rams. He'll be going up against his old teammate Grant Wistrom. That should be a heck of a battle. And then for Seattle, Waller Jones might be the most dominant player in the NFL today. In 3 games so far this year, he's only been on the ground 1 time. That was the last play against Tampa. He's fired up to play and keep the Seattle Seahawks undefeated.
All right, Brian, who will put up big offensive numbers today for the Seahawks and the Rams? To check on how your fantasy team is doing, text message 63504 on your singular wireless phone or log on to foxsports.com.
Holla at your boy.
This ain't just another game. This is to put us up, baby. This is for legitimacy now. Let's go. Lines on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Seahawks looking to maintain their unbeaten record. We welcome those of you who have been watching the Lions and the Falcons. As we check out early scores, Giants make it 4 in a row. Falcons suffer their first loss. Buccaneers 21 seconds away from their first victory. And the New England Patriots have set a new National Football League record, their 19th consecutive victory, including the postseason.
Well, those Patriots see these Seahawks next week up in New England. Our Fox pregame show, Terry Howie, the boys will be up there from Foxborough, and the Seahawks would like to get there undefeated. But the Rams are in the way today.
Maurice Morris taking the Jeff Wilkins kickoff out to the 27-yard line. 24 yards on the return. Eric Flowers, the tackle on special teams. Matt Hasselbeck leading the Seahawks offense out in his 6th season out of Boston College. Walter Jones, Steve Hutchinson, left side of the line. Both went to the Pro Bowl last season. Sean Alexander tied for the NFL lead with 6 touchdowns. Seahawks start from their own 26. Play action on first down, and the pass is caught by the tight end Jeremy Stevens out of the 32. Gain of 6. Setting up second down and 4. Defensively, Rams ranked 27th under new coordinator Larry Marmee, who replaced the Bears head coach Lovie Smith. Leonard Little, 12.5 sacks a year ago. Polly Thomas and Tino Isamoa, the linebacking core for St. Louis. Rich Cody starting for Adam Archuleta, although Archuleta will play. Hasselbeck dumps it off to the fullback, Max Strong. Robert Thomas made the tackle, looks to be just shy. But the Seahawks get the spot from referee Pete Morelli. Favorable spot, so Seattle picks up the first down.
Kenny, this is a big game today for both teams. I mean, for Seattle, they want to stay undefeated. They haven't really been tested so far this year. You know, played Tampa Bay, played San Francisco, played a bad New Orleans team the first week. Matt Hasselbeck said they have been setting up for this game the first month of the season.
3 wide receivers set. Seahawks from the 36, and the inside handoff to Sean Alexander. Alexander gaining 7 out to the 43-yard line before he was brought down by Tommy Polley. So a 2nd down and 3 coming up for the Seahawks. We welcome those of you who have been watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints just underway
right here now.
Here in Seattle. 2nd and 3 for the Seahawks from the 43. And Seattle able to move the chains once again. Catch by the tight end, Atula Mealy, for the Seattle first down.
Well, the Tampa Bay Bucs got their first win of the year. Congratulations to John Gruden. He hasn't slept much in the first month of the season. The weakness of the St. Louis Rams defense is right in the middle. The middle of their defensive line. Teams have been able to run the ball against them. That's where Seattle will attack in the running game as they come out in their 3 wide receiver set here.
Hasselbeck has completed his first 3 pass attempts. Stretch play, Alexander into Rams territory. Gain of 3 down to the 47-yard line, forced out of bounds by Tommy Polley.
Seahawks are coming off a bye week, so a lot of them got a chance to have a couple of days off. Mike Holmgren here in Seattle has been a little nice to these guys. They had 4 days off. Sean Alexander was a guest on our pregame show last week in Los Angeles. Always in a good mood, always happy. He told us on Friday when we visited that they haven't begun to put in a lot of plays in the offense yet because they haven't had to. They haven't really been challenged. And so today I think you'll see a little bit more in the running game than what they've shown, which is basically 3 running plays so far.
2nd down and 7. Hasselbeck to the air. First down. Catch is made by Darrell Jackson at the Rams 37-yard line for a gain of 10.
Well, here's the question mark for the Seattle Seahawks game, for the whole team, is are these receivers, and Darrell Jackson out here on the outside, are they good enough right now to get to the Super Bowl? Are they good enough to win big games? Because they have a long history of dropping a lot of passes. It frustrates Matt Hasselbeck. You can see how accurate and pinpoint he's been early in this game. But the receivers have dropped a lot of passes.
Jackson, the Seahawks leading receiver, that was his 20th reception this season. Hasselbeck, 4 of 4. Can't find anyone downfield. And now throws it away. Bounced in front of the intended receiver, the tight end, Jeremy Stevens.
Well, that's really the strength of Hasselbeck right there. The ability to get out of the pocket. He's a good athlete. He throws the ball well on the run. Mike Holmgren in that menu of plays right there has certain plays for him built in to move him. You know, make the defense chase, make them run after him. Pretty good athlete, though, out of the pocket.
Now remember, this a Rams defense that led the league in takeaways last season, but this year they've only forced the opposition to turn the ball over twice in 4 games. Alexander inside the 20, inside the 10, finally forced out of bounds at the 4-yard line. A 33-yard pickup, and he was finally chased down by the 14-year veteran, Aeneas Williams.
Well, he thinks he plunged and runs behind the best offensive line in football, and he ran behind the best left side here in Hutchinson and Walter Jones. And the fullback, Max Strong. All 3 players created that hole and opening for Alexander. Terrific right at the point of attack. Alexander said it's as healthy as he's been in a while as the side judge gets knocked down the hardest he's been hit so far in this game.
Side judge Rob Fernacci. That the longest run of the season by Alexander, 33 yards. First and goal from the 4, and Alexander bottled up at the 1 after a gain of 3.
You know, Kenny, Alexander got hurt at the end of the first game against New Orleans, down in New Orleans, and had a bone bruise, and he said it was really severe. And it's been troubling him with the bye week. It's gotten healthy, and he looks fresher right now.
Alexander, a touchdown machine. He's already scored 6 in 3 games this year. In his last 24 games here at home, he has scored 32 touchdowns.
Well, the first time he ever scored a touchdown was when he was 7 years old. He ran a kickoff back for a touchdown. And he said, how do I do that more? And he said, try running back and get to touch the ball a lot more.
Here's Alexander. His 7th touchdown this season.
Kenny, if this is a statement game for the Seattle Seahawks, that was a statement drive to start the game. That's about as well executed a drive. 10 plays, 74 yards, a little bit over 5 minutes as you can start a game with.
So the Seahawks, who have not trailed at any point in any game this season, score on their opening drive. Josh Brown adds the extra point. Seahawks won the toss, drive 74 yards, and have taken a 7-0 lead over their division rivals, the St. Louis Rams.
Well, he's sitting next to Max Strong. Max Strong's the fullback on this play, going to take it just a straight dive right over the right side behind Floyd Womack there, who they bring in as an extra blocker. Chris Gray, the pork chop. He ran right behind the pork chop. Womack and his fullback Strong. A couple good sounding names in there. You're talking about a tough yard, you know. Max Strong, pork chop, Womack. Those are that's the kind of bodies you want to run behind.
I don't think there is a more appropriate name for a fullback in all of football than Max Strong.
Now, he's been an amazing, everywhere Max Strong goes, runners just, have great seasons. Ricky Waters was here. He was the lead blocker for Terrell Davis at Georgia and Garrison Hurst at Georgia. Sean Alexander feels fortunate to have him as his fullback. And he's in his 12th year. Most fullbacks never last that long.
12 years with one team.
Yeah, that's another thing, the year of free agency.
Mike Holmgren says Max Strong is the most unselfish player he has ever been around.
Fullbacks are generally have to be unselfish because they're not going to touch the ball a whole lot. They have to enjoy being the lead blocker and not getting much glory.
Josh Brown kicks it off, taken at the 10. Marlon Harris scoops it up, and then is forced back. So a terrific job on special teams by the Seahawks with number 59, Tracy White, leading the way. So Mark Bulger leads the Rams offense out onto the field. He's completed 69% of his passes, third in the NFL. Orlando Pace, the perennial Pro Bowler at left tackle. Scott Tercero starting for the injured Chris Dishman. The great Marshall Faulk in the backfield. Torrey Holt led the NFL in receptions last year. Isaac Bruce leads the league this season. Rams start from the 19-yard line. Here's Faulk up the middle. Out to the 23-yard line, a gain of 4. Isaiah Kazavensky made the tackle for the Seahawks. Their defensive unit ranked first in the entire league. Grant Wistrom playing against his former team for the first time after 6 years in St. Louis. Kazavensky with Huff and Simmons. And a terrific young secondary. Vieira leading Seattle in tackles through 3 games.
This crowd here is yelling defense
right here.
on the second play of the game. I mean, they're fired up out here.
2nd and 5. Bulger faked the toss, and his pass incomplete. It fell in between Torrey Holt and Cam Cleland. 3rd and 5 coming up as we check in for the first time with James Brown.
Kenny and Brian, Minnesota was on top of Houston 21-0, but the Texans have battled back. Take a look at David Carr hooking up with Andre Johnson. 12 catches, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, all knotted at 28, and we are now in overtime. Houston is 4-0 against the NFC at home. Back to Kenny and Brian.
Maybe Houston trying to win 3 games in a row now. Wonder what happens to David Carr, the quarterback, if he wins 3 in a row.
Got a haircut last week after winning their 2nd straight for the first time. 4 wide receivers out. Penalty marker, and the pass was behind the intended receiver, Isaac Bruce.
Yeah, and another penalty flag just came out.
Bulger was hit late. That was the second flag.
Well, Isaac Bruce dropped the pass there. I haven't seen Isaac Bruce drop a pass all year. Holding against St. Louis. Mike said that the question mark on his team right now is his offensive line. They've had to bring in four new offensive linemen to start the season.
Illegal formation, number 84. That penalty is declined. Holding, number 63 on the offense. That penalty is declined. Fourth down.
Now Sean McDonald guilty of illegal procedure. Scott Cicero at left guard guilty of the hold. Mark Bulger has put up gaudy numbers, but the question mark, can you protect him well enough to get the ball down the field? And we haven't seen many balls hit Ike Bruce's hands this year. He leads the National Football League in receiving right now, coming into this week's action.
Bobby Ingram back deep for the Seahawks. Sean Landeta in his 20th NFL season. He has punted more than anybody in league history. Ingram backpedaling to the 26. Two flags. 8-yard return out to the 34-yard line. 50-yard punt by Landeta.
Injury to Dwight Anderson, rookie. Illegal man down the field for the Rams. Tripped up at the end of that play.
During the return, illegal block in the back. 28 receiving team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's Michael Boulware called for the penalty, the rookie out of Florida State.
Yeah, here's the block right here. Boulware. These teams don't like each other. I mean, this has a rivalry feel to it. You know, both games last year were decided in the last minute of the game. In fact, the last 4 times these two teams have played, they split 2 wins, 2-2. Bad blood between these two teams, right. And that it exists in a good rivalry.
Grant Wistrom told us on Friday, as a Ram, I flat out dislike the Seahawks.
And now he's wearing that Seahawk jersey. You know, when Grant Wistrom was in St. Louis, their rivalry was New Orleans. You know, and then when Seattle got good and the realignment took place and they went to the NFC West, it was natural. Holmgren and March, 2 offensive-minded guys, 2 good offenses. That became the rivalry.
Mike March told us last night when we asked him about Grant Wistrom, he said, hey, I'm happy for him, just like when Ray Bly left for Detroit. I feel good that these guys were able to get the big contracts, but deep down, they're still Rams. Yeah.
Well, Mike March said he was going to go up to Grant Wistrom before the game and tell him to come on in the locker room and put a Ram uniform on. He's brought a great presence to the Seahawks team. You know, he just has a great work ethic. He's upbeat every day. You know, he does the right things. He's a good teammate. Guys like him.
Said hello to so many of his former teammates prior to the game today. Following the penalty, Seahawks start from their own 22-yard line. Seattle leading 7-0. Alexander on first down. Tries to turn the corner, gains just 1 out of Marcelletta. In on the tackle. Playing with the injured back and hamstring.
But they need him in there to stop the run right now. So that's what he was. On that last play, he cheated up into the box. You see Archuleta sitting right here. He's sitting up here. He's just waiting at the line of scrimmage, trying to shut down the run. Now, when you play run defenses like that, that's the time to start passing. You only have 3 defensive backs in the game, and that's the time to attack.
Second down and 9, 4 receivers set. Hasselbeck incomplete. Ingram usually sure-handed, unable to come down with it.
Well, you know, Bobby was in the slot that time. He was in the left slot. And whether he's the first read or not, that's Hasselbeck's favorite player to throw the ball to because he has been so dependable. And he said he studies the game the way a quarterback studies the game. He knows how to get open. He's very, very good working the middle of the field. For him to drop that pass, that's unusual.
3rd down and 9. Seahawks have to get to the 32-yard line for a first down.
There's a guy they got to block out here, Leonard Little.
Pass is short, intended for the fullback, back strong, so the Seahawks send out the punting unit.
Well, you know, there it is. The drop to Ingram, I thought, was the key play in that drive. That got him into a 3rd and 9, allowed St. Louis to come after him a little bit, got the hit on Hasselbeck. But that's what Seattle is going to have to overcome. If they want to be thought about with the Philadelphia Eagles right now, with the undefeated New England Patriots, I think their receivers have to prove that they can catch the football consistently.
Seahawks among the league leaders in dropped passes last season. Tom Ruin punting for the first time. Sean McDonald back deep. And it takes a Rams bounce into Seahawks territory. Only a 24-yard punt by Ruin. Terrific field position here for the Rams.
You know, we're talking to Mike Martz about Ray Rhodes and what it's like going against his defenses. And he said that in all 4 games that he's played against Ray Rhodes, he said he's had a different defense every time. He's not really sure what he's going to do. And so right now there's a feeling out process. You know, in the early rounds of this game right now, he's trying to figure out what Ray Rhodes is doing. Is he playing zone? Is he playing man? Is he blitzing? And once he gets a feel for Ray, I think Mike Martz will adjust how he attacks him.
And Martz told us, I'm always nervous in the first quarter when I don't know what the game plan is of the opponent. From the 47 on first down, Marshall Faulk. Gain of just 1 down to the 46. Anthony Simmons, the first Seahawk, in on the tackle.
Well, here's what Ray Rhodes' defenses has done. Rhodes to success with the Packers, the 49ers. You see where they were before Rhodes and then later on. He's never had a #1 ranked defense like he has right now.
Seahawks last season in Ray's first year here in Seattle finished 19th defensively. 2nd down and 9 from the Seahawks 46. Second offensive possession for the Rams. Faulk brought down at the 42-yard line after a gain of 4 by Ken Hamlin and Marcus Trufant.
See, now Marshall Faulk shouldn't get into a scuffle on the Seahawks sideline. You know, not with some help. There's some big help, some linemen, some bodyguards over there with him. Marshall Faulk is running the ball as well as he has in the last 4 years. See the shift in the change of direction and the change of speeds right now? He's healthy right now. He's healthy, and he worked his butt off in the offseason. His running back coach, Wilbur Montgomery, the former Eagle, is responsible for working him out and keeping him shaped to be able to take on the scuffles on the sideline.
Not many friends on that side. 3rd down and 4. Bolger airing it out, looking for Holt, and it's intercepted in the end zone by Ken Lucas.
Well, the secondary has not been tested. They were anxious to play the Rams today because they knew the Rams were going to get the ball down the field. But Mark Bolger gets time because watch what Orlando Pace does on the outside to Grant Wistrom. The play is over, folks. He's wired. Bolger has all kinds of time to throw this ball. But watch Kenny Lucas play this ball in the air. Isaac Bruce does a double move on him. He never bites. Plays the ball up to the highest point in the air. Never allows Bruce to come back for the ball.
Second pick of the year for Lucas and for Bolger, who has not completed a pass to a teammate today. His first interception, his last 81 pass attempts. 2 flags as this pass is caught by Darrell Jackson, brought down at the 24 after a gain of 4.
One thing about Mark Bolger, you know, he went to see the presidential debates the other day in St. Louis at Washington University, Washington Bush, and Gary going at it. He didn't get much of a rise out of that. It's hard to not get
offside.
Guy off his first.
Number defense, left hand, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
The debate took place Friday night in St. Louis at Washington University.
Leonard Little is the guy that the Seahawks have to pay attention to every single play. He's a dynamic player, and St. Louis right now is lining him up all over the field. They line him up at linebacker and defensive end. They're moving him around to try to free him up. He's their one big chess piece on defense right now. And he can create havoc if you don't have a good game plan for him.
Double digits in sacks each of the last 3 years. 1st and 5.
Hey!
Alexander bottled up by Damian Lewis. Gain of just 1, setting up 2nd down and 4. So the Seahawks, who marched 74 yards in 10 plays on their opening drive, coming into the game today, they have not trailed. They have not been behind all season. They have been in the lead for the most part in all 3 games, and they lead here today 7-0. Pass caught at the 29-yard line by the tight end Jeremy Stevens. Rich Cody the tackle, as we say hello one more time to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Kenny, bottom of the 9th, 2-1. John Smoltz on the mound. Jeff Kidd grounds into the game-winning double play. Kenny, it sends this series to a decisive Game 5 tomorrow in Atlanta on Fox. Time to be determined based on the Cardinals-Dodgers outcome. Back to Kenny.
Well, the Astros have never won a playoff series. They had a chance to clinch today, but the Braves sent it to a Game 5. Hasselbeck escapes, throws, complete. Warren Robinson broke a tackle and takes it up to the 45-yard line. Picks up a Seattle 1st down.
Some really good individual playmaking right there by Hasselbeck, showing his elusiveness, being able to break the tackle out here of Tyoka Jackson. Nice job right there, getting away from that tackle, staying alive. Thinking about Matt Hasselbeck in his offense, you know, he's been in it for a long time. He knows where safety valves are. He knows where all the receivers are supposed to be. Very familiar.
Ruling on the field, Robinson stepped out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Maurice Morris backs up Sean Alexander, gain of 3. Out to the 42, his first carry today. Rich Cody made the tackle.
You know, the Seattle Seahawks are stuck up here in the Pacific Northwest. They don't get a lot of national exposure right now. I think a lot of people here in this country, the last time they saw Matt Hasselbeck was that interception in overtime against Green Bay. Al Harris ran it back for the touchdown. The Seahawks season was over at that point. And, you know, Hasselbeck said that was a learning experience. He threw a ball he shouldn't have thrown. Hopefully when he gets in that position the next time, he won't do that. And you just hope that you just take away all the painful experiences and turn them into positive.
Alexander into Rams territory. In fact, Hasselbeck threw that interception against his former team. He backed up Brett Favre for 2 years up in Green Bay. And we take you back to the playoffs.
Hey! Seattle has won the toss. We won the ball, we're going to score.
Well, here it is. Hasselbeck picked off by Al Harris. Takes it back 52 yards. Packers win the game in overtime, 33-27.
Hey!
Down to the 46-yard line. Max Strong. Ironically, both of these teams made the playoffs. And then in January, they both lost in overtime. Rams losing at home in double overtime to Carolina.
Yeah, you know, that man right there, Walter Jones, he told his teammates that he'll see everybody on September 1st after that loss in the locker room. And, you know, he's a guy that doesn't come to camp. He's got that franchise tag. He's waiting for the big contract. 3 years in a row now. He has stayed home for training camp.
Hasselbeck looking for Warren Robinson, and it's off his fingertips. Juan Gross on the coverage.
In order to get the ball down the field to Warren Robinson, you've got to protect it. Watch Walter Jones here on this protection. Here he is at left tackle, so steady and consistent. And does it come? He comes out, he blocks 2 other guys. He's out there looking for work. It's what they want from Warren Robinson, to make the spectacular catch because he has such great ability. He'll go up and make those kind of catches and then drop easy balls right to him.
He has had some days against the St. Louis Rams. 2nd and 10. Hasselbeck dumping it off to Max Strong. Strong takes it down to the 42-yard line. Gain of 4. Tommy Polley made the tackle.
No, we're looking at Walter Jones, and you know, Mike Holmgren has told me many times that if he was to start a franchise from scratch, the first player he would take is Walter Jones, the left tackle. You know, and he protects the backside of the quarterback. He's never on the ground. He wins his battles quickly, and he's just a phenomenal athlete. The feet are always underneath him. He doesn't come to training camp. Comes in the first week of the season, and he starts, and he picks right up where he left off, which is the Pro Bowl the last 4 seasons.
Seahawks have to get to the 36. And the play blown dead. Flags prior to the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start. 72 the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Chris Terry, the right tackle.
Chris Terry, brought in here a couple of years ago, was released by Carolina, has really helped solidify this offensive line, the one that Sean Alexander says is the best in the NFL right now. His job is to really protect against Leonard Little, which may be the most feared pass rusher in the NFC today.
4 wide receivers set. 3rd down and 11. Seahawks have to get to the 36. And they keep it on the ground. Max Strong needed 11, gained 12.
Well, that's a crippling blow to this defense on 3rd and 11, Kenny. They give up a fullback dive up the middle for 11 yards, right at the weakness of this defense, right in the middle. One right inside at Damian Lewis. And this were teams, I mean, he's a Tino Samoa, you know, kind of a small linebacker inside there. Tommy Polley running right at the teeth of this defense.
From the 35, Hasselbeck rolling right. Bobby Ingram forced out by Demetrius Butler after a short game. Time winding down in this first quarter. Seahawks won the toss. Marched 10 plays, 74 yards. Sean Alexander took it in from 1 yard out. First quarter comes to an end with the Seattle Seahawks at 3-0. They've won 10 consecutive games here at home. And the Seahawks dominating in time of possession, leading the Rams after 1, 7-0.
Cool, huh?
House premieres Tuesday, November 16th on Fox.
Well, you look at what Seattle did in that first quarter. They've completely dominated this action here. That opening drive, 10 plays, right down for a touchdown, but really played keep away. The Rams had the turnover in the end zone and the interception. Right now, Seattle controlling this football game. And I think when you look at Seattle and the way they're constructed, Kenny, their offensive line is very solid. Defensive line is very good. And that was the big, that was what was going to concern Mike Martz today, was his offensive line going to be able to control the line of scrimmage for him to get his passing game going? So far, Seattle has taken it to him.
Rams have run only 6 offensive plays. They went 3 and out. And then 3 plays and the interception on their next drive. Pass caught by Alexander at the 30, gain of 4. We welcome those of you who have been watching the Minnesota Vikings and the Houston Texans. Kenny Albert, Brian Baldinger. Here in Seattle, Seahawks leading the Rams 7-0.
So where the Vikings won their 3rd game of the season, only lost to the Philadelphia Eagles on that Monday night.
Vikings ending their 6-game road losing streak. 3rd down and 4. Hasselbeck off his back foot. Incomplete pass, a bit short. Intended for Maurice Morris. Leonard Little on the coverage as we check in once again with James Brown in Los Angeles.
Kenny and Brian, what a day for Dante Culpepper in OT against Houston. Here he tosses his 5th touchdown of the game. That to Marcus Robinson. 2nd time this season that ties a career high. NFL's leading passer. Like Jimmy Johnson has said, he has taken it to a new level. Vikings victorious. Back to Kenny and Brian.
All right, JB, Josh Brown, the second-year place kicker out of Nebraska, now to attempt a 48-yard field goal, and he nails it. The season long for Brown, 10-0 Seattle.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Ford. The next Ford Super Duty. Tougher, stronger, smarter. By Cialis. Cialis is here. Ask your doctor if a free sample of Cialis is right for you. By Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And by AOL 9.0, now with top speed technology.
Let me tell you something. This is a bad look right here. See, he's sweating. Bad. All guys who shave their heads sweat. But then the paint starts to drip when you sweat like that. And that's why you have the rag down here to be able to wipe it all off and keep it clean.
He's got Seahawks green, Seahawks blue.
Yeah, they're up 10-0 and he's sweating. Nice fall day out here in the Northwest.
Arlen Harris on the return, brings it back 17 yards to the 22. Early second quarter, 10-0 Seahawks.
You never know when your computer might catch something. So if you want your computer to play with other computers without getting sick, get AOL 9.0 optimized with virus protection. It scans every email attachment for known viruses. It then cleans them, repairs them, and notifies you, helping keep your computer as healthy as the day it was born.
You've got mail.
AOL 9.0 optimized with email virus protection. Visit AOL keyword safety or call 1-800-4ONLINE.
Thank you for bringing me.
You look beautiful.
I've got an eligible beer in the cooler on Hector. Less taste, very unmacho. Replacing with great tasting, less spilling Miller Lite. Half the carbs of Bud Light. Wow. We've also got a disproportionately hot girlfriend. I will need further review.
Hi there. Hi. I think I could.
Oh, please.
Hey, Dina.
Oh.
Miller, good call. This bolt is 4.5 inches long, made from hardened alloy steel. 6 of them connect the cargo box of the Ford F-150 to its frame. Why do we do this when others don't? Because we're building the strongest pickup. You can be sure of that. We are. Only one truck earned the right to be the next Ford F-150.
It's alive. The all-new Simpsons Treehouse of Horror.
Is dinner ready yet? This one keeps eating himself.
Take a fantastic voyage inside the belly of the boss.
Can you fit into a large flight suit?
No, it'll show my boobs and ride my crack.
The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. All new Sunday, November 7th, only on Fox.
How have things gone on offense for the Rams so far? They've run 6 plays, gained a total of 11 yards. Mark Bulger not completed a pass. He's 0 for 3 with 1 pick from the 22-yard line. On first down, Bulger swings it out to Marshall Falk. And Falk tackled at the 26 after a gain of 4 by Isaiah Kazavinsky.
Well, I think one way to get your quarterback in the rhythm is to get the ball to Marshall Falk, whether it's in the running game or the passing game. Let him get out there. He's healthy right now. He's got a change of gears going. Get him involved in the game. Seems like for as long as St. Louis has been a hot offense, greatest show on turf, and years after that, this team always plays better when he gets involved early.
Second down and 6, 3 wide receivers set. Bulger complete to the tight end. Cam Cleland took a hard hit from Anthony Simmons at the 32-yard line. Looks to be just shy of the marker.
Well, the big free agent acquisition for Seattle was Grant Wistrom this offseason. He's going against his former teammate, Orlando Pace, right here. And he knows it's going to be a tough day. I mean, Orlando Pace never gets any help on any play. Whoever's out there, he has them all by himself. And Wistrom said, look, I know how good he is. I've went against him every day in practice for 6 years. Orlando Pace right now is over on the right side. One unbalanced right.
Third down and 1, and Falk picks up the first down of the game for the St. Louis Rams.
This is what they call the unbalanced formation. You take your left tackle, who's your best offensive lineman, you put him over on the right side, and then you run behind him. See, here's Orlando Pace right here. Normally he's over here, but he moves over here, so you got 2 tackles right there. Orlando Pace just takes his defensive end and just washes him in. Washes him down and opens up that hole for Marshall Faulk.
Rand Wistrom told us Pace does not take plays off. He said that's usually how I beat guys. Sometimes a guy will play hard for 45 minutes, but not 60. From the 36 on first down. First catch by a Rams wide receiver. It's Isaac Bruce, his 33rd reception of the season. His first today, forced out of bounds by Marcus Trufant. Gain of 7.
Well, Mike Martz was honest about his assessment of his own team, because this team is in transition. This is not the same team that won a world championship and went to another Super Bowl. The offensive line is being rebuilt, and he said if the offensive line keeps improving, and he thinks they have, then this offense has a chance to be really good, and this team has a chance to be real good. He's not surprised they're 2-2 right now. He thinks they're going to play much better football as the season moves on.
Second down and 3. Steven Jackson in the game, the first-round draft pick. And the give to Jackson. Picks up the first down and more.
Watch out. He's a horse.
Still on his feet. Finally knocked out of bounds by Ken Lucas inside the 10.
This guy is going to be a franchise back. It looks like this one might come back. Steve Jackson showed you a little bit of what he's capable of doing. The first back taken in this last year's draft. 24th pick by the Rams. He walked into our meeting room last night, and I thought, there's no way this guy's a running back. He's too big for that. Almost 240 pounds.
He gained 47, but it looks like it's coming back.
There's no foul on the play for holding.
Okay. Mike Holmgren like to figure out some way to challenge that non-call. Watch Steve Jackson get through this hole here. A big back that's explosive, and he's got power. Last week against San Francisco, he ran into the cornerback for the 49ers, Mike Grumpf. He broke his forearm, put him out for the season. This is still Marshall Faulk's team, and he comes out whenever he wants to blow, but I don't think Marshall Faulk wants to come out on too many plays when this Steve Jackson can line up and run the ball like that. Mike Martz likes to run the football inside the 10-yard line.
And that, Brian, the longest run of the season for a St. Louis Ram. Bootleg, Bulger.
Over the season.
Into the end zone. He walks it in for the touchdown.
I'll tell you, Steve Jackson just became a great decoy after the 47-yard run to allow Bulger to walk in without anybody even looking at him. Also a pretty good ball fake by Bulger, and Mike Martz is taking some good palm slapping right there. Credit for that play. Ray Rhodes up here, the defensive coordinator. That's going to make Ray cranky, more cranky than usual.
The first rushing touchdown allowed by the Seahawks defense this season. Jeff Wilkins adds the extra point. Jackson with the big play leading to the Bulger touchdown.
Now this is what happened to the Seattle defense here. Watch the secondary here, and their attention being paid right here to Orlando, to Isaac Bruce right here, to the tight end. They turn their backs on this play. They're all one with receiver. They have no idea Bulger has the ball. All they're doing is playing pass coverage. Probably the easiest touchdown run Mark Bulger's ever had.
Cutting the Seahawks lead to 3. Maurice Morris on the return out to the 37. Trev Falk made the tackle on special teams after an 18-yard return by Morris.
Here's a split screen of Mark Bulger taking the 10-yard bootleg in for a touchdown, and the reaction by Martz. Martz likes what he called. He said, oh, look, it takes me about a quarter to try to figure out what Ray Rhodes is doing, and on that drive was any indication, I'd say get Steve Jackson on the field a little bit more. The running game looked pretty good there.
Seahawks start from their own 37. Hasselbeck to Corin Robinson. First down in Rams territory at the St. Louis 43, a 21-yard pass play.
Good rifle shot that time from Hasselbeck to Corn Robinson, right between the zone. Behind the corner, in front of the safety here. See the safety coming up from behind. Archuleta squeezed that ball in there right there. Nice body catch that time by Corn Robinson.
Hasselbeck 10 of 15. He's hit 7 different receivers. From the 43, Alexander down to the 39-yard line, gain of 4. Robert Thomas on the tackle, 2nd and 6 coming up.
Well, I think, you know, when you look at Mike Holmgren and how he calls offense and how he sees what the defense is doing, one thing you're going to get from Seattle is a balanced offense. You're going to get Steven Alexander, you're going to get his carries. You mentioned that right now Hasselbeck has thrown to 7 different receivers. You know, whoever's open, that's who's getting the ball. And that's how Hasselbeck looks at this thing. He doesn't have a favorite target, a number 1 receiver, any of that. Whoever's open is going to get the ball.
Maurice Morris in the backfield with fullback Heath Evans off the fake toss. Hasselbeck over the middle. Had a little too much on it, deflected away off the fingertips of Corn Robinson.
He knows this offense well. You can see right there. I mean, that was just a little pivot right there. He wanted to throw just a quick out to the wide receiver. He was well covered. And for both these quarterbacks, it all starts with their feet. Their feet will tell you where they're going to throw the football. Hasselbeck wanted to throw the left. In order to throw down the ball down the middle, he had to move his feet there. Straighten his feet out, and that's where the ball is going to go. So once they get the foundation set, then the ball gets released.
3rd down and 6, penalty markers.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 82, the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That's Darrell Jackson, so it will be 3rd and 11. The Patriots, regular season plus postseason, have now won an NFL record 19 consecutive games.
Giants, after that loss to Philadelphia the opening week, have won 4 in a row. Peyton Manning now, 3 touchdown passes in that win. Interesting, Kurt Warner is still extremely popular in St. Louis. They love watching the Giants play in the Gateway City.
Complete at the 29-yard line to Corn Robinson for a Seahawks first down, a gain of 15.
Well, Hasselbeck is sharp and receivers will catch balls. Now, when Robinson catches the ball against his body, he's usually pretty good. It's when his hands are away from his body, he has to go out and get the balls when he has trouble. This is just a body catch here. Hasselbeck seeing the field, surveying things real well, setting up, setting his feet. Easily getting rid of the ball.
Alexander inside the 25. Remember what Hasselbeck told us? He says, I'm just a chess piece that Mike Holmgren is using.
Yeah. Well, Mike Holmgren still has a pretty good rein on him. You know, he said right now Holmgren's the one in his ear talking to him, and he used to be too emotional to Matt. He used to yell at him too much. He said their chats, their talks now, a little bit more civil. You know, but Mike is always going to be the quarterback on this team. It's all going to go through him.
2nd down and 6 from just inside the 25. Off the play fake. Hasselbeck looking for Stevens, and the tight end makes a spectacular catch in the end zone for a touchdown. Jeremy Stevens. 24 yards from Matt Hasselbeck.
That ball was so beautifully placed because Stevens is 6'7". A big basketball reach on him, and he threw the ball up high and allowed him really just to go play jump ball for the ball.
His 4th career touchdown, his first since 2002, his rookie season out of the University of Washington. Josh Brown, the extra point, 17-7 Seahawks.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 39.
Sounds okay? Jeremy Stevens with the touchdown catch. You see him coming off the line of scrimmage right here. Looks like there was a blown coverage on the outside between Tommy Polley and Rich Cody. guys looked a little indecisive about who was responsible. Cody taking over today for Adam Archuleta, who's got the bad back right now. They've had a lot of injuries in the secondary. And they're learning a new defense. So the guys are struggling with assignments right now, and Matt Hasselbeck took advantage of it.
Hasselbeck now 12 of 18, 109 yards. He was 3 for 4 during that drive.
Well, they got all the pieces here in Seattle. And I mean, on offense, you know, you got an experienced quarterback, you got a franchise running back, you've got a fullback, a couple of good tight ends, Millie along with Stevens. And if the receivers, the tight ends, the backs, if they catch the ball well, this offense can be as dynamic as any in the National Football League.
In your mind, are the Seahawks now, or do you think the Seahawks this season will be among the upper echelon clubs in the NFC and the entire National Football League?
Yeah, you know, I think the dust is settling here after the first month, Kenny, as we get into mid-October, about who's going to be a good team and who isn't. And Seattle is in the upper echelon right now, along with the Eagles, along with Minnesota, along with New England.
And they will head to Foxborough, take on the unbeaten Patriots next Sunday on Fox. Marlon Harris on the return for the Rams. And Harris brought down at the 28 by Marcus Trufant, a 20-yard return. Beautiful day here in Seattle. We would like to welcome those of you watching around the world on Armed Forces Television. We send our best wishes to the men and women of Headquarters Company 2nd Infantry Division Camp Red Cloud, Uijeongbu, Korea, helping guard freedom's frontier.
Thank all those soldiers. And anytime you see any of our troops coming through the airports, just tap them on the shoulder and say thanks. Thanks for everything they're doing over there. Operation Iraqi Freedom.
And there's Bryce Fisher of the Rams.
Former Air Force Academy graduate. Serves in the Air Force Reserves on his day off every Tuesday. Puts it 8 hours in.
Pass caught by Isaac Bruce. His second reception. Tackled by Ken Lucas. Bryce Fisher, a public affairs officer with the 131st Fighter Wing. Works in public and community relations every Tuesday during the Rams off day. And he is a native of Seattle.
Yeah, went to Seattle Prep. Right downtown here. Never thought about playing pro football. You know, went to the Air Force and served his 2 years at Fort Bragg in the 80th Airborne Division. A lot of his friends and comrades at the Air Force Academy in Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Second down and 7. Bulger rolling right, and the pass caught at the 39-yard line for a first down by Isaac Bruce, his third catch today, as we check in once again with JB.
Hey, Kenny, take a look at Carolina trying to come up with his second victory of the season. Jake Delhomme hooking up with his 26-yard strike to Kerry Colbert, the rookie out of USC, with his second touchdown of the season. And Carolina holding to a 1-point lead over Denver in the second. Back to Kenny and Ryan.
Kerry Colbert filling in for Steve Smith, who's out for the season with that broken leg. We'll be counting on him here the last 3 quarters of the season.
Broncos off to a 3-1 start. Bulger on first down. Ken Lucas with his second interception today. He was the NFC Defensive Player of the Week 2 weeks ago following the win over the 49ers. Well on his way to winning that award once again this weekend. 2 picks today for Lucas.
The Rams are trying to get the ball to Isaac Bruce here on this last interception, trying to get him involved in this offense. The Rams run a lot of conversion routes, meaning they kind of adjust on the fly. I think this was just pressure here. Watch Mark Bulger. The hit he takes on the legs. Nothing will make a quarterback more inaccurate than somebody diving at his legs. He's muttering and upset at himself right now, but the protection wasn't great at the end of that play either.
Alexander up the middle for 6 to the 49. Bulger last year, Brian, tied for the NFL lead. He threw 22 interceptions. This season, over the first 4 games, picked off only twice. But already today, Ken Lucas with a pair of interceptions.
And he said that, you know, he's like in 6th grade in this offense. I mean, he goes home and has an hour and a half, 2 hours of homework every night, drawing up plays against every single look. He says it's never an easy week. There's never not homework.
From the 49, penalty marker.
There you go. That's sort of an example of Seattle receivers. You catch a great touchdown pass, you come back with a little stick route there to him, and it hits him right in the chest and bounces off.
Illegal formation. 72 of the offense lined up in an illegal formation. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Chris Terry's second penalty today, his 7th this season.
Well, here it is. I mean, Hasselbeck hits him right between. See, that's started turning his head upfield before he squeezed the ball, took his eye off it.
But it would not have mattered. Penalty against Seattle.
Well, Chris Terry, what he's doing is he's trying to get as far back on the line of scrimmage as he can to be able to block Leonard Little right here. Trying to cheat in the backfield as much as he can.
From the 44 on second and 8. Hasselbeck was in trouble, able to get rid of it. And Itula Neely picks up the first down. Tackled by Jeremitrius Butler down at the Rams' 43-yard line.
Well, Hasselbeck said, we have to know where Leonard Little is every play. He just got whacked by him on that play before the completion.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 55 of the defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Here comes Leonard Little inside, 91. He hits him. Robert Thomas went right to his head. I mean, hat to hat. Boom. Now, that's a good call. We've seen just a whole lot fewer concussions in the NFL now since they've been enforcing that helmet-to-helmet hit, especially on the quarterback, so I think it's a good thing. One of those hits where you want to come off, grab yourself a smelling salt. Trent Dilfer out there right now taking snaps as Hasselbeck kind of gets some of the cobwebs cleared out.
So Trent Dilfer in the game from the 28 on 1st and 10. Sean Alexander gains 2 down to the 26-yard line, and here comes Matt Hasselbeck back in.
Those two guys have a lot of fun together too. I mean, Trent Dilfer's won a Super Bowl, with the Baltimore Ravens, and he came up here, was a starter towards Achilles a couple years ago. Those guys have got a good relationship. I mean, I think Trent can still start for a number of NFL teams in this league. I think he likes living up here, and I think he likes playing for Mike Holmgren.
3 wide receivers set from the 26. Hasselbeck looking for Darrell Jackson.
Seattle has got their protections down now. That last time they did a good job of picking up a blitz right here. I mean, all 3 guys are coming. Watch, you got a back coming over here. You got another back. Good job of protecting the quarterback that time. You can see the blitz that far in advance and then adjust your protection right there. You should be able to burn the defense. There's no element of surprise in that blitz there.
We're down at 7. Again, looking for Jackson. So the Seahawks send out the field goal unit. Josh Brown hit from 48 earlier in the second quarter.
Josh Brown hasn't missed a kick this year. I talked to him before the game. He said that going this direction he's kicking right now, his range is about 55 yards. Going the other direction, he said it's about 60 yards.
He hit a 58-yarder last year against Green Bay. This a 43-yard attempt. And this one wide to the left. His first miss of the year. He's 10 for 10 on extra points. Now 4 for 5 on field goal attempts. The Seahawks lead remains 10. Big day on Fox for sports fans in St. Louis. Coming up tonight, Game 4 of the National League Division Series, starting at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. St. Louis Cardinals, Los Angeles Dodgers. Cardinals leading the series 2-1, can clinch it tonight.
What a great baseball town St. Louis is as well. A great lineup, great hitters this year. Always been a good base. Busch Stadium out there, always been a fun place to go watch America's pastime.
Rams and Cardinals always very supportive of one another. In fact, each team prepared a good luck video for each other, and Mike Martz has visited down at spring training with Cardinals manager Tony La Russa.
In fact, he gave Tony La Russa the game plan that beat the Philadelphia Eagles that got him to the Super Bowl about 3 years ago. In fact, La Russa has that thing framed in the clubhouse.
You saw Martz's game plan for today's game.
He'd like to give him another one this year.
Yep. Rams start from the 33 following a missed field goal. Nowhere to go for Marshall Faulk. Antonio Cochran brought him down.
You know, this is a completely different offense than the one that was the greatest show on turf. You know, there's no Trent Green, no Kurt Warner here, and what they have with Mark Bulger is a better athlete than both those guys, and they like to move him. They like to bootleg him. They like to just sprint him out. We saw him on the touchdown run earlier today on the bootleg. And they're trying to incorporate more movement and misdirection in this offense.
Under 5 minutes to go, second quarter. Seahawks leading by 10. From the 34. Bulger slipped, able to get the pass away. And it's caught at the 37-yard line by the tight end, Brandon Maliuta. Terrell Vieira made the tackle.
Well, you know, sometimes you got to go to the element of deception here. Watch Grant Wistrom drop into coverage this time. He drops back. He becomes a linebacker. If you can't get there with direct rushes, sometimes you've got to blitz. And that's the zone blitz there, where they drop the defensive lineman from one side and bring two from the other side. Element of surprise.
4 down and 5. Fans on their feet. Rams have to get to the 43 for a first down. 3 wide receivers set. Bulger steps up and throws, and it's caught. First catch today for Torrey Holt. Down to the Seahawks 45, gain of 17 yards, and that quiets the crowd here in Seattle.
Well, it does, but Mark Bulger saw a huge middle in the opening of the field between the deep safety and then the linebackers that are all buzzing the line of scrimmage. Watch this area right here. That's what Mark Bulger was looking at on that cross. All he needed was good protection up front to get there. Nobody runs in routes like this better than Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce, because they can cut without ever slowing down.
Gain of 17 for Holt. Bulger gets rid of it quickly and taking it down to the 42-yard line is Holt. Gain of 3.
Grant Wistrom outside here. He knocked down the quarterback and never stopped running. He just got rid of Bulger, just kept going, and said, I was offsides in that? That beard he's got, he looks like he belongs up here in the great Northwest, like Grizzly Adams.
Penalty marker on 2nd and 7. Caught out of bounds by Marcus Trufant, the Seahawks left corner.
You know, that was, Bulger has thrown 2 interceptions here today, Kenny. You know, the term in St. Louis right now is they want to play fast and furious. They do not want to worry about mistakes and setbacks. They want to keep attacking on all 3 phases of the game. And so those mistakes that Bulger has made today, the interception in the end zone, he's got to flush that from his mind and move on. Keep throwing the ball down the field.
Illegal formation. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
And Mike Martz through the years has taken some criticism for his style of play, but he told us last night we're going to always be aggressive. This is who we are, and we don't care what anyone thinks, and that's what Martz has told Bulger.
Yep.
And Bulger relayed that message to us last night.
Well, that's how he became a head coach, is by calling those kind of plays and being aggressive. I also think that there's a time when you kind of pull off the stats and the numbers and you just go win a football game. You know, sometimes you got to go melt the clock at the end of the game, put it in your running back's hands, get off the field and go home with the win. You're going to play a fast break football. You're going to have turnovers and mistakes.
4 wide receivers set. Falk below back. 2nd down and 12. And again, the play is blown dead prior to the snap.
There is no foul for delay of game as the officials were moving the ball. 2nd down.
I don't know how the officials were moving the ball when the center was snapping the ball.
Mike Holmgren wondering the same thing.
Yeah. You can't move the ball like that. All right. Seattle's in a 3-down lineman look.
Bulger to the outside. Down at the 44-yard line. Sean McDonald, the 2nd-year receiver out of Arizona State.
Boy, Ray Rhodes is mixing it up for Mark Bulger. This time, he only rushes 3 down linemen right here. They drop 8 here into coverage. Even with 5 wide receivers here, there's just not many openings to throw this football. I mean, they're clamping everything down the field, forcing Bulger to make the short throw to the outside. That's what Ray Rhodes here has done, is in the zone concept, he's keeping everything in front.
The receiver had gone out of bounds, had not reestablished himself. It is an incomplete pass. 3rd down.
You cannot come in from out of bounds and become the first player to touch the ball.
You've got to reestablish yourself, reset yourself.
So an incomplete pass. McDonald had stepped out. So it's now 3rd down and 12. Rams have to get to the 35 for a 1st down. 3 wide receivers. Bulger under pressure. Down he goes.
If you want to play fast and furious, you've got to protect your quarterback. That time, 5 offensive linemen got beat by 4 defensive linemen rushing, and Chike O'Keefer beat the right tackle right here, Grant Williams. That's where the first pressure came from. O'Keefer gets there first, and he leaps right for the right arm of Mark Bulger, the arm with the ball in it.
2.5 sacks on the season now for Chike O'Keefer, the former San Francisco 49er. So the Rams will punt, but first the 2-minute warning here in the 1st half. Seattle leading by 10. Seahawks lead the Rams 17-7. Rams 2 first-half turnovers. They've gained only 119 yards of offense. Sean Landeta punting from his own 35. Does take a Rams bounce, stays in bounds. There is a flag out at midfield. The punt down at the 15-yard line.
Landeta's got a partially torn groin muscle. He doesn't really have full power in that leg. That ball came off terrible that time, but he got the veteran bounce. The holding against the Rams looks like the initial indication by Peter Morelli, the referee today. Somebody was out of bounds as well. And Mike Holmgren would like to officiate this himself. Wants to know who called it, and then he's going to take that finger and finger the guy over.
Stay right here. Holding. Number 53, receiving team. That penalty will be declined. Also on the same play, illegal touching. Number 82 of the kicking team. The penalty's actually offset. Re-kick, 4th down.
Somebody came from out of bounds here and then touched the football. right there. That's Furry. You can't come out of bounds and be the first one to touch it.
As we saw moments ago on the catch by McDonald.
Unless that ball is touched by somebody else. One way to get the flag and the hat back together. Anytime you see an official with the hat off, that means he has an infraction with somebody from out of bounds. That's how they mark the spot on the out of bounds.
What about when you see a flag in a hat?
Well, you get the flag, the hat, then you have the bean bag. You know, anytime the ball comes out in a fumble, they'll throw the bean bag to mark the fumble, the hat to mark somebody out of bounds doing something, and then the flag for the infraction.
Now that we've gotten all that sorted away.
Well, you got to accessorize. You know, if you're an official, you have to accessorize.
So Landetta, after all that, will do it again. Better kick this time. Ingram, fair catch at the 10. 44-yard kick. A minute 43 remaining. First half. There it is. The flag in the hat. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy will have the latest scores and highlights from around the National Football League, and the Fox Sports Ticker will keep you updated up to the second stats. That's all coming up on the Visa halftime report. Minute 43 remaining. From the 10, Alexander out to the 13-yard line, gain of 3.
St. Louis calls a timeout here, Kenny. They want to get this ball back. They haven't played well offensively. Mike Martz would love to get a little momentum going in. If they can stop Seattle, force them to punt here, maybe get some good field position for Bulger to work with. Now, this defense here of St. Louis led the National Football League in turnovers a year ago with 46. This year, through almost 4.5 games now, they've created 2 turnovers. And, you know, that was what Lovie Smith, who's now the head coach in Chicago, that's what he preached all the time, was turnovers. They practice it every day, and you lost Lovie Smith, and you wondered if you lost some of that mentality with him.
They forced 46 turnovers last season under Lovie. Only 2 so far in nearly 4.5 games this season. Second down and 7. Harold Jackson. First down out across the 20.
See, now it's not Mike Martz's turn. It's Mike Holmgren's turn right now, whether they're going to. Elias Williams looks like he's hurt. He's got himself a stinger in that shoulder. Elias Williams has been a corner. He's been their nickel back. He's been their safety this year. A lot of injuries to the secondary, and he's kind of moved around to help the team any way he can.
Rams charged with their second timeout.
Elias Williams coming in for this. Falls right on that left shoulder. Just got himself shaken up. One of the true pros in this game today. Holmgren's turn right now with 3 timeouts to whether he's going to continue to attack here and try and get some points before the half. They'll be conservative with their play calling. They'll protect Hasselbeck first.
From the 23, wide open, Warren Robinson, he dropped it.
Kenny, we said it from the very beginning of this game. Are the receivers good enough to be considered a great team and good enough to go deep into the playoffs with those kind of concentration drops? If this was just one game, you wouldn't make a big deal out of it. But every week, that's just taking your eyes off of the football. Holmgren has done what he thinks everything he can do. He's made the highlight reels or the low light reels of guys dropping passes and why they drop them and how they take their eyes off it. Nothing seems to be working right now.
Alexander. Sean Alexander out to the 40, 3-yard line, a gain of 20. Clock stops, 58 seconds remaining.
Well, running right behind this Pro Bowl left side here of Hutchinson and Jones, along with Toback the center. Allowing Sean Alexander to get out of bounds there and stop the clock here without using a timeout is inexcusable. Seattle was content right there after the drop to be conservative with their play call. And now after the big gain, Seattle can continue to attack.
You need about 25 yards to get into field goal range.
He's got him down the seam.
Darrell Jackson. Touchdown. "56 yards.
Well, the receiver finally held on to the football. The fan holds on to it there, and that's what can happen when these receivers hold on to the ball. Hasselbeck really moved the defense by pump faking and then coming back to Jackson. But that was a horrendous defensive series by the Rams. In coverage, in tackling, allowing Seattle to come out of their own end zone from the 10-yard line. Wistrom, I think, is happy to be wearing Seahawk green.
Yes. A 90-yard drive despite the drop by Robinson, a 20-yard run by Alexander, and then 56 yards, Hasselbeck to Jackson.
There's Darrell Jackson in the slot. He was just taking it right down the seam. He runs right by the safety, Rich Cody. Number 25 there. Cody looking inside. Aeneas Williams out of the game with that injury to his shoulder. A couple backups in there. Kwame Lassiter in there. That's just a complete breakdown in the coverage for the second play. It dropped the pass before this. That time, Jackson did a good job of watching it all the way into his fingertips, and really about as easy a scoring pass as you can get in this league.
Folks, the Seattle Seahawks are for real.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing all phases right now. We're seeing them on defense shut down a dynamic offense, not allowing them to get started, and offensively basically having their way here in the first half.
Arlen Harris brings it out to the 26, 22 yards on the return. Some extracurricular activity.
Well, the big difference, I think, between these two teams is just how well Seattle is playing. Outside of the drop passes, lack of penalties, no turnovers, mistake-free in their zones, in their defense right now, not giving up anything easy. Just giving up one long run to Steve Jackson today.
And the Seahawks offensively, they score fast. That drive, 53 seconds. Their last touchdown drive took only 2.5 minutes. 45 seconds remaining, second quarter. Rams from their own 26 have just one timeout. Bulger can't find anyone. Penalty flag, down he goes. It's Chike O'Keefer again. They had a sack on the last Rams possession.
I think the Seahawks defense likes playing with this kind of a lead.
Holding. 67 the offense. Penalty is declined. Second down.
Seahawks have scored on 4 of their 6 possessions. The missed field goal mixed in. They punted only once.
Yeah, just the 1 3 and out that they had. Otherwise, it's been sterling execution. Coming off the bye week, Mike Holmgren said that they had excellent practices this week. Even though they don't have an indoor facility when it rains, they're still getting good work done in practice.
Falk on 2nd and 11, brought down at the 29-yard line by Antonio Cochran. And the Seahawks use a timeout. While on defense, stopping the clock with 31 seconds, they want the ball back.
Well, why not? You know, this is becoming a very heated divisional rivalry, and we're seeing right now a shift in the power in the NFC West. From St. Louis, who has won 4 of the last 5 divisional titles, and Seattle wants that title. And while Mike Martz wants to play fast and furious, it's the Seahawks that are playing that way right now.
Seahawks defense, 2 interceptions. They now have 2 sacks. O'Keefer with both. They've allowed only 44 passing yards.
Well, there's a lot of credit that goes around, but I think Ray Rhodes up there in the box. I mean, Ray doesn't really talk to anybody anymore. He doesn't want to see the media. He doesn't want to hear how good they are. He thinks the sky is falling every day and that there aren't any good, and that's the perspective that he coaches from. Keeps these guys hungry.
Well, something falls from the sky every day here in Seattle, or so it seems. Antonio Cochran got a piece of that pass. Despite all the rain here in Seattle, Brian, it has never rained on a Seahawks home game since they moved into this stadium 2 seasons ago.
Well, they're going for their 11th straight win here in this stadium. And, you know, Mike Holmgren at one time had 29 straight home wins at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. And that's what he's trying to establish up here. A great home field record, a very difficult place to play, and these fans have responded.
The only team with a longer home winning streak in the NFL is New England. Seahawks going for their 11th straight. Fair catch at the 34. 37-yard punt, 20 seconds remaining.
Well, here's another thing that coaching. You know, right now, there's 20 seconds left in this half. You know, they still have 2 timeouts left. They haven't gotten foolish with timeouts, no unnecessary challenges, anything like that. Yeah, Mike Holmgren said that, you know, the fans are a little bit different up here in the Northwest than they were at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, where it was all about football and the tradition and Vince Lombardi drive and all that kind of stuff. Mike Holmgren way. Up here he said that he wanted to cut down a dead tree in his yard, and they wouldn't let him cut down the dead tree without planting 2 trees first. I mean, you know, they're a little bit more environmental conscious, a little bit more concerned with other things other than football.
From the 35, Morris takes a hard hit. In Green Bay, he'd have 1,000 people over to the house to help him cut down that tree, I would think.
Or whatever he wanted. Hasselback there, speechless jump and turn, and he knows this offense so well. He can get through the progressions. He said that when the ball leaves his hands, it's up to the receivers to go do the work. You know, I'm finding the open guy. It's up to them to catch it and then do something with it afterwards.
15 seconds remaining, first half. Hasselback surveying the field. Throws it out with 9 seconds. Hasselbeck spent a year with Mike Holmgren up in Green Bay on the practice squad of the Packers back in '98. Holmgren has not had great success after the bye week, and the Seahawks were off last week. 0-5 here in Seattle after the bye, 2-10. And ironically, both wins coming in years in which his teams went to the Super Bowl.
So would he take the loss today to keep that trend going if he knew he was going to win the Super Bowl, get to the Super Bowl later in the season?
Well, the trend would continue with a win today. Sure. 9 seconds remaining. Morris. And that will do it for the first half here in Seattle. The unbeaten Seahawks, first place in the NFC West, leading the Rams at the half, 24-7.
The revolution starts now in your own backyard, in your own hometown. So what you do is standing around, just follow your heart. Your revolution starts now. Yeah, the revolution starts now in your own backyard, in your own hometown. What you do is stand around, just follow your heart. Your revolution.
Well, that's what it looks like in Fox High Def as we welcome you back to Seattle. Kenny Albert, Brian Baldinger, and the Seahawks have continued to make a statement about how good they are and how good they hope to be.
The balance of power has completely shifted here in the NFC West. And right now, Seattle has taken this Ram team apart in all phases of the game from the very beginning. And that's been a difficult thing to do for them. And so for them to do that right now, I think it's a huge statement. They have over 300 yards of offense. St. Louis has no rhythm on offense themselves right now. I mean, really, they are on a good rhythm and a good roll.
Seahawks came in 3-0, 10 straight wins here at home as we take a look at the first half.
Well, I mean, it's just complete domination here. I mean, the Seahawks have 306 yards of offense, controlled the clock. They haven't turned the ball over. First downs. Sean Alexander almost 100 yards. I mean, if you're a fantasy football league fan, you got Hasselbeck having a big first half. Jackson. You have Sean Alexander. I mean, these guys are putting up big numbers.
188 yards in the air for Hasselbeck, 2 touchdowns. Sean Alexander, 98 on the ground. And the Seahawks' #1 ranked defense has done a terrific job. Torrey Holt only 20 yards receiving in the first half.
Well, you know, the Rams are going to get the ball here in the second half. And the offensive line has to have a completely different change of mind here for this team to get back into it. It's got to start up front.
Marlon Harris on the return for the Rams. Takes it out across the 25. Moments ago, our Amy Van Dyken chatted with Seahawks head coach Mike Holmgren.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Coach Mike Holmgren. Now, Coach Holmgren, your offense is just playing spectacular, but your defense has held this powerful offense to only 7 points. You must be happy.
Well, I'll be real happy when the game's over, Amy. You know, I told them inside that we had a good first half, and I'm pleased with some of the things we did. We can't relax, so this is too good a football team we're playing to relax in the second half, and we got to keep our intensity up.
Well, good luck in the second half, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Amy. Rams start 1st and 10 from their own 26. Steven Jackson, who went for 48 yards on his first carry today, gains 3.
Pretty interesting there. Steve Jackson starts the second half, not Marshall Faulk. We're trying to find ways to get both those guys on the field together. Steven Jackson gets the first carry, but he was the catalyst to the 1 touchdown they had with a 48-yard run that set up their only touchdown.
He scored his first NFL touchdown last week against the guy who recruited him, Dennis Erickson.
Yeah. Dennis Erickson told him at Oregon State when he recruited him there that he'd have a chance to play at this level and be a really good player.
2nd and 7, 3 wide receivers. Keep it on the ground with Falk. And Marshall takes it out to the 34-yard line. Gain of 5. Antonio Cochran made the tackle.
Well, this really slowed the Rams offense down. Ken Lucas playing excellent with the ball in the air. Takes that one away from Torrey Holt and then makes a diving interception, killing another drive. Right now, Ken Lucas, 3 interceptions on the year, but these guys in the secondary, we talked about them at the open, are playing great zone coverage and very disciplined football.
4 down and 2. On the draw, here's Falk. And he has the first down out to the 37. So the Rams move the chains. Bobby Taylor finally brought him down.
That's a classic case there. The Rams spreading the defense out and trying to run the football from there. Orlando Pace widens Grant Wistrom a little bit. Good job staying on Wistrom. Wistrom, one thing about that guy, his feet never stop moving. This defensive line has controlled the line of scrimmage. Mike Martz's #1 priority in this game was to try and establish it. And Wistrom and Rashad Moore right here at defensive tackle, these guys have not allowed him to do it.
4th straight running play to begin the second half. After the Rams ran only 8 times the entire first half. And Falk takes it up to the 42.
Remember Orlando Pace said after last week's game that it felt good to get out there and be a run blocker and go move people. And look, I mean, they didn't have the ball long enough to really establish any kind of rhythm. But really, if you want to try and get your offense into a rhythm, sometimes if you could just run the ball, get the defense a little tired, keep them on the field, I mean, it's a good approach. Regardless of what the score is right now, they need to score any way they can get it. And a touchdown would get them back in the game.
Holt split to the left, Bruce to the right from the 42. Steven Jackson, 5th straight running play. Into Seahawks territory to the Seattle 44, and a late flag after the gain of 14 yards by Steven Jackson.
I tell you, that guy is big and he's powerful. And he is hard to bring down. And the Rams, if they're going to make a move in this division this year, have got to find a way to get the ball more to them.
Holding 80 of the offense, 10-yard penalty, still second down.
Nice Bruce outside. Watch, you're going to make a counter move here. One of those formations right here, both Falk and Jackson on the field together. Ike trying to work downfield. That's a terrible call. Just a terrible call. I mean, Ike Bruce is just going down. The play is, the ball carrier is being brought down on the tackle right there. They fall on top of Bruce. He's just extended. Just in a bad position, that's all.
Forces the Rams back to the 46-yard line. Second down and 2. 3 receivers set. Rams have to get to the 48. Bolger to the air for the first time this half, and it's nearly intercepted by Marcus Trufant.
Well, Torrey Holt fell down. And Trufant, who plays sticky, tight defense. And this is a great young player here. He's one-on-one with Torrey Holt. He doesn't have any help right there. Hey, that is, you can't play it any better than that. Now, when the receiver slips, that helps him. But you break when the receiver breaks. Trufant trying like heck to keep that ball in the air and come down with it. These drafts that Seattle has had with Lucas and Trufant and Hamlin, when you draft like this, your team gets better. These are good young players.
Third down and 2. Falk picks up the first, and we spoke with Mike Holmgren about his secondary. Pointed out that during his early years in Green Bay, they had a small secondary and did not have much success against the likes of Michael Irvin, Alvin Harper, when they would take on the Cowboys. And
well, they had Ron Wolf was the director of personnel and the general manager then, and they drafted Terrell Buckley one year. And they were looking at Buckley just in the mini camp, and they said, and Buckley's about 5'9". They said, we're never going to do that again. And now they've gone big. They brought in Bobby Taylor from Philadelphia, who at 6'3", 220, fits in there. Boulware's big. The air is huge.
Falk down to the 41, gain of 7, setting up second down and 3.
No, Marks is coming out and he's running the football here. Now, everybody in St. Louis thinks that's what St. Louis should do. Even down 17 points here, but what it's doing is it's allowing the offensive line to feel good about themselves after a really bad first half right here, to have 7 runs in this drive to start the third quarter, allowing these guys to play physical, to get after people. And I'm sure the offensive line said that to Marks. Let us just run the football with these guys. We think we can move it.
From the 41. Falk bouncing to the outside. And Trufant is right there to force him back. Loss of 2 on the play as we send it down south to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Trailing 14-6 to Arizona. Take a look at San Francisco's Arnaz battle. Nice nifty moves here, Kenny and Brian. And from here, he's off to the races. 71 yards to pay dirt to the house. 2-point conversion was no good. It is now 14-12. Arizona on top in the third. Back to Kenny and Brian.
All right, JV, 49ers 0-4 for the first time since Joe Montana's rookie season.
1979.
Third down and 5. And the pass is batted back. Marcus Tubbs, first-round pick out of Texas, was there, as well as Grant Wistrom.
Well, if you can't get there because the offensive line is protected, you get your hands up. That was Rocky Bernard right there. Got his hands up and stopped that. Seattle will dress 8 defensive linemen and play all 8 linemen. They rotate them through, keeping them fresh. And they're going to start making a name for themselves if they keep playing like this. Start to know who Rocky Bernard and Rashad Moore are.
Fair catch back at the 11-yard line. 32-yard punt by Landeta. All Seahawks back in a moment.
Fox NFL Sundays brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 39.
We welcome you back to Seattle. Seahawks leading the Rams 24-7. Seattle starting from their own 12. And Sean Alexander well over the 100-yard mark on this run. Had 98 at the half. And he's taken down at the Rams 48. A 40-yard pickup by Alexander.
There's just a huge hole on the right side of this offensive line as Alexander cuts this ball back. I mean, watch over here the hole that gets cleared out. Archuleta doesn't know where to go. He takes the wrong angle. Aeneas Williams not in there to start the second half. They miss him at safety. Alexander just keeping his eyes open and looking for the daylight.
Williams bruised his left shoulder late in the first half. Nothing this time for Alexander. Rich Cody on the tackle.
Well, Alexander said that, they don't have to use a lot of running plays because when you can cut like this, see, Max Strong was going one way, but now the guy's on his own. Now the running back, Alexander, is on his own when he decides to go off on his own. He sees that clearance. Safety's in the wrong hole. Tell you, if you've got Sean Alexander on your fantasy team today, you're smiling right now.
His 17th career 100-yard game from the 48. Hasselbeck looking for Maurice Morris, who is unable to make the catch.
You look at the Rams right now, and they're a mess. They're giving up big plays in the running game, the passing game. They can't create a turnover. If you're going to play defense like this and you want to contend, you've got to be able to create turnovers. And right now, they can't create the turnovers. Even with the big plays you're giving up, sometimes you do that because you're gambling a lot. This team isn't even gambling and they're giving up big plays. So the foundation to this defense, interior and the defensive line right now, they're struggling. Who's their best player? Leonard Little lining up the linebacker, trying to get some pressure on this third down.
From the 48, Hasselbeck sidearm. Daniel Jackson brought down at the 43. As we check in once again with JB.
Hey, Kenny and Brian trailing 13-10 to Denver. Take a look here. Jake Plummer had an opportunity to go up bigger. Throws a pick to Julius Peppers. Julius Peppers, take a look at the big fella, Brian Baldinger, as he hustles downfield. Almost makes it. As a matter of fact, when he's finally tackled, he loses the ball, but he's ruled down. Jake Delhomme takes it in for the score, and they did score at 17-13. Back to Kenny and Brian.
Got to find some offense for Julius Peppers. He looks pretty good.
Bruins punt takes a Rams bounce. There is a flag.
During the kick, holding number 23, receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Demetrius Butler, the guilty Ram. Quite a home field advantage for the Seahawks.
Yeah, and it's getting, when they're playing like this, playing error-free football, the fans, the 12th man here, they ran a flag for that here. Gets them excited.
Rams start from their own 10-yard line. On first down, Marshall Faulk. Gain of just 1. Well, coming up tonight, it's Game 4 of the National League Division Series. St. Louis Cardinals, Los Angeles Dodgers from Chavez Ravine, starting at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, as the Cardinals look to close out the series. Jeff Suppan, 16-game winner, will take the mound for St. Louis against Odalis Perez. Game 4 tonight, Cardinals and Dodgers on Fox.
I was watching that game last night, Kenny, and I tell you, that Lima for the Dodgers was phenomenal. He mowed the Cardinals down one inning after another.
It's Lima time.
Yeah. I can tell you about it, too, now.
2nd and 9. And the pass is caught out at the 14-yard line by the tight end, Joey Goodspeed, who scored his first NFL touchdown last week.
Well, that Lima, he's got a swagger to him. And this Ram offense right now has no swagger. I mean, if this Ram offense has a swagger, it's because Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt are catching the ball down the field. And right now, those guys are out of the mix. Mark Bulger can't find them, and that's a credit to what Ray Rhodes and his defense is doing.
Bruce with 3 receptions, Holt only 2.
No touchdowns, no big plays from him. These Seahawks fans were yelling defense from the first play here today, and they haven't stopped.
Bulger calls timeout. 5.5 remaining. Third quarter, fans on their feet here in Seattle. They're watching something special.
I'll tell you, there's a growing love affair here between Grant Wistrom, the fans, this defense, this city. Bobby Taylor brought in from the Philadelphia Eagles, brought out old Ram films for his defensive secondary to watch when he was with the Eagles, and they studied this team all week long. Bobby Taylor right here, kind of a coach on the field for these young defensive backs, playing real well.
3rd down and 5. Bulger to Torrey Holt. There's a penalty flag. Holt did pick up first down yardage out to the 22. Ken Lucas, who has 2 interceptions today, on the coverage.
Remember now, coming into today, Isaac Bruce was the leading receiver in the game. I mean, he'd started the season off with 4 straight 100-plus yard receiving days.
Holding. 21 of the defense. Penalty is declined. First down.
But Ken Lucas had 2 interceptions today. He's guilty of this play, but you can't fault him for challenging Torrey Holt on the outside. That's what they're trying to emphasize this year. You know, can't have your hands on the receiver after 5 yards.
You mentioned Bruce, 400-yard games today. 3 catches, only 19 yards. 3 catches for Holt as well.
Marshall Falk outside wide against Ken Lucas this time.
From the 24. Bulger can't find anyone. Taken down at the 25-yard line by Orlando Huff after a gain of 1.
They're trying to move Mark Bulger around a little bit, move the pocket on him. That pocket was collapsing and leaking all over the place. There's Lucas on Marshall Falk. One of those deals where when Marshall Falk becomes a wide receiver, you don't want anybody else on him but a cornerback. He runs routes that well, and Lucas never allowed him to get open.
Steven Jackson in the backfield. 2nd down and 9 from the 25. And the play blown dead.
St. Louis, timeout. 2nd team timeout.
So the Rams with only 1 timeout remaining. 4.5 to go, 3rd quarter. March trying to figure out what to do against these Seahawks.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Nissan and your Nissan dealer. By Chili's new Mix and Match Grill. Come on, live a little at Chili's. By Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Look at the public market here in Seattle. 2nd and 9 for the St. Louis Rams following the timeout. And this pass batted back by Rashad Moore.
Yeah, I tell you, that Rashad Moore's made a difference in this defensive line, and Orlando Pace just completely shut down Grant Wistrom. Wistrom trying to spin, trying to get away. Out here, here's this matchup. Wistrom took him inside, then he spun outside, and then Orlando Pace sat on him at the end. Watch the finish of this play. Keeps his feet going. Hands are on top of him. Now watch this. Now you get a 2-point takedown at the end.
Not exactly a good feeling when Orlando Pace sits on you at the end.
No, but you know what Grant Wistrom does? He just gets up and lines up, and there you go, run at him again.
Jackson the lone back. Rams have to get to the 34 for a first. And they do. Out to the 46-yard line, the tight end, Brandon Maliuta. Gain of 21.
They haven't really gone to the tight ends today. That time, Bulger got a little bit of time. Got him out of that deep hole. I mean, this team looked like they were trapped down in that end zone this entire quarter. Think about these defensive backs. You're coming down there now, you're going to get tattooed. These guys will hit you. Hamlin, Vieira, Lucas, Trufant, all these guys are good hitters.
From the 46, 3 wide receivers set. Bulger sets up the screen to Steven Jackson. And Jackson picks up another Rams first down to the 40. Gain of 14.
I think every time that Jackson touches the ball, he gets good positive yards.
First running back selected. He lasted until the 24th pick of the first round. And we asked him about it yesterday. He said teams don't think a running back is a necessity anymore.
Yeah, that you don't build a team around a back. You could be like Denver. You can just, it's a system that gets the yards. But he wants to be a franchise back. I think people in Dallas watching this kid will regret the day they passed on him, where he could have been their franchise back and the back that they really need down there.
From the 40, pump fake, Bulger throws, and it's caught by Torrey Holt for another Rams first down. His 4th catch today at the Seahawks 28.
I think this is the first time today where this Rams offense looks like what you expect from the Rams. Where the ball's getting down the field, there's positive yards, they're not hurting themselves with penalties.
Wide receivers have gained only 60 yards combined.
Yeah, I mean, less than 10 yards a catch. Well, and we talked about it. This Seahawks defense really hadn't been tested by a powerful offense this season.
Falk and Jackson Bryant in the backfield together. Everybody out on first down. Isaac Bruce at the Seahawks yard line.
Think about Bulger. That expression never changes. He's the same. You know, he never gets up, never gets down. Throws interception, comes back. I know that Mike Holmgren realized this team scored 2 touchdowns up here in the 4th quarter last year to come back and beat the Seahawks.
Tenth play of the drive coming up. From the 17. Pass deflected, nearly picked off by Anthony Simmons after it was deflected by Grant Wistrom.
If the Rams make any kind of a comeback in this game today and make this thing close, we're going to have to go back and look at this play. Anthony Simmons right here, their weak side linebackers in a perfect position to intercept another tip pass. These defensive linemen, while they're not getting the Bulger right now in this drive, they are batting passes down.
Rocky Bernard, Rashad Moore, and now Grant Wistrom.
All 3 guys batting the pass down.
4 wide receivers set. 2nd and 10. Bulger out of the shotgun. Looks to take off and runs into a 299-pound freight train by the name of Antonio Cochran.
That was a bad decision. I mean, Mark Bulger has run for their 1 touchdown today, but you've got 4 wide receivers out there working. This was a run all the way. This was going to be a quarterback draw from the very beginning.
Loss of 4 on the play.
Okay, you know, one thing about Mike Bart said that he wants his defense to be able to play the way Seattle's does. He admires the way these guys don't stay blocked. They don't give up big plays. They hit hard, you know what I mean? That's how he wants his defense to play.
Empty backfield, 3rd down and 14. Bulger to the end zone, incomplete. Dane Looker, Washington native out of the University of Washington, and a huge Steve Largent fan as a youngster, the intended receiver.
Oh, how he would have liked to have had that ball a little closer to the diving play. Dane Looker's going to take right off down the slot here. A tough throw. He's got to throw it over Anthony Simmons, which he does, and then drop it into a little hole where Dane Looker is coming. He was able to get one hand on it.
39-yard field goal attempt. Jeff Wilkins. Wilkins Now 7 of 8 this season. Under a minute to go, third quarter, a 2-touchdown lead for Seattle. Mike Holmgren's Seahawks looking to remain perfect. Coming off the bye week, coming off a shutout of the 49ers. They lead this one 24-10.
Yeah, and the Seattle Seahawks in their history have never started a season 4-0. We're trying to establish that here this afternoon.
Maurice Morris on the return, tackled by Trev Falk after a 13-yard return. We check in once again with James Brown.
In a series punctuated by home runs, the top 2 in the majors on deck, Adrian Beltre led the league, 48 homers, guiding the Dodgers. And of course, you know that face, Adrian Pujols, Albert Pujols that is, tied for second in the majors with 46 home runs. It'll be game 4 of the Cardinals and Dodgers. Kenny, I know you know it well, Kenny and Brian.
All right, JB, and what a day for the fans in St. Louis. They watched Kurt Warner and the Giants beat the Cowboys, now watching the Rams and then the Cardinals tonight.
Yeah, and I don't think that those Cardinal bats will stay quiet for a second night in a row.
You don't think so?
No.
From the 25, Hasselbeck looking for the tight end, Jeremy Stevens, who has a touchdown today.
Hasselbeck haven't had many of those throws today where he shakes his head at the end of it. I think everybody back in Philadelphia, an undefeated Eagle team with a bye week this week, has taken a look at the Seahawk team and seeing and comparing themselves to it. And there's a lot of similarities. I mean, Andy Reid, Coach Matt Hasselbeck that first year in Green Bay, disciple of Mike Holmgren. Certainly Terrell Owens has shifted the balance of power on that football team in the NFC.
Another drop by Corin Robinson.
And now the fans, they're on him. They're catching on to him. They're just raining boos here, up 14 points late in the third quarter, but this is it's too frequent. It happens too much. Hasselbeck, all he does at this point is he just walks right back to the huddle. I mean, all he could do is just go to the next play and try and convert the third down.
Now, we should point out, Mike Holmgren mentioned to us on Friday, Robinson wears that dark visor because of some eye problems that he's gone through.
Yeah, he's got one bad eye. He tries to protect that. There's a hit.
Max Strong took a hard hit, takes it up to the 29-yard line.
Well, Kenny, I think, the drops that we've seen today, already this season, last season, to me, that's how the Eagles are better than this team. They don't drop passes like this. You really can't count on these guys right now in big spots to keep drives going, to keep the chains moving. They can be frustrated by it, but the receivers have to be better catchers.
Seahawks will let this clock run all the way down, and that will do it for the third quarter here in Seattle. Seahawks 15 minutes away from extending their perfect record, extending their home winning streak. After 3, it's Seattle 24, St. Louis 10.
You're watching the NFL on Fox.
Motherfucking history today. This ain't just another game. This ain't just another game. This is to put us up, baby. This is for legitimacy. Now let's go. Lines on 3. 1, 2, 3.
That's the Seahawks statement here today. Legitimacy. Transfer of power in the NFC West. They want it. They want to take it away from the Rams, and they're doing it.
Ruins punt. McDonald backpedals to the 24. Fair catch there. 47-yard punt. Early fourth quarter here in Seattle.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Cadillac and the all-new STS Breakthrough by City Business with real live small business specialists on the phone. That's a card you can count on. By Dockers Pro Style, shirt and pants that do it all. And by Michelob Ultra, lose the carbs, not the taste.
Saw Grant Wistrom, and Brian, you talked about Terrell Owens, one player shifting the balance of power of the NFC. Can a defensive player such as Grant Wistrom shift the balance of power in a division?
Yeah, you take one of the best players from the Rams defense and you put him on the Seattle defense like that. I think it can happen, and I think it is happening.
From the 25, Bouncing it outside is Falk. And then he's knocked back, loses a yard. Mike Martin spoke with us last night about Wistrom's engaging personality, all of the community work he does, and he said he had a major impact on our team.
Well, you know, Grant Wistrom was on the free agent market for less than a day. He came up here, watched some tape with Holmgren and Ray Rhodes, and they told him about the defense, and they weren't letting him get away. Kansas City wanted to go interview him. You know, he played for Dick Vermeil in St. Louis. Vermeil needed a pass rusher. He was ready to go there. The Seahawks were not letting their key free agent get out of town. And that's what you have to do. They overpaid for him, but so what? They got the player they wanted.
Second down and 11 as Bulger is picked off for the third time today. It's Marcus Trufant with his second interception this season. Bulger came into the game having been picked off only twice all year. No interceptions his last 77 pass attempts coming into the game, but 3 times today. Lucas, and now Trufant.
Kenny, we said these zones are being played perfect by Seattle, and Trufant was in perfect position to take this ball out of the air. Folks, this is cover 2 defense right here. 2 deep safeties. Watch the corner Trufant here. He's playing deep. This guy wants to stop up here. He doesn't care about the short pass. They're trying to prevent touchdowns. He keeps expanding in his zones. He gets himself an easy interception.
Sean Alexander tackled 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage by Adam Archuleta. A couple of injury updates on the Rams defense. Aeneas Williams out with the pinched nerve in his neck, will not return. Tyoka Jackson, a sprained hamstring, will not return.
I tell you, it is not easy to bottle up these receivers from the Rams when they have to be on. And Trufant and Lucas are making a good name for themselves. 3 interceptions between those 2 guys today. I mean, Isaac Bruce came in leading this league in receptions. Torrey Holt's been a thorn in most teams' side over the last 4 or 5 years.
And there's a completion to Max Strong, but he loses 3 yards. Bruce coming into the game today, led the NFL, 32 receptions. First player since 1963 to start a season with 4 consecutive 100-yard games. And he has been held in check today, as has Torrey Holt.
Well, I think the whole defense, it starts with the pressure that they're getting up front with that defensive line, stopping the other team from running, getting a lead, and forcing teams to throw.
Pump fake, Hasselbeck rolling right, directing traffic. And gets as many yards as he can, takes it down to the 32-yard line, about 2 yards shy of the first down marker.
Well, Hasselbeck, when he runs, he's only running to remain a passer, to try and buy as much time, but the receivers didn't come back to help him here. We got a difficult 4th down decision to make.
4th down and 2. Fans want the Seahawks to go for it.
Well, they're right on that cusp there. They try to kick this field goal for Josh Brown. He's right at about 50, 51 yards. He's missed one today for 43. The offense has been almost unstoppable this afternoon. We got a Pro Bowl left side of the offensive line with Hutchinson and Walter Jones.
Looks like the Seahawks will take the play clock all the way down and then use a timeout. So the clock stops with 11:41 remaining. 4th quarter. Only 4 unbeaten teams remain. New England, the New York Jets, Philadelphia, and Seattle.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by the new Chevrolets. 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months. An American revolution.
Kenny Albert, Brian Baldinger back in Seattle. Seahawks going for it on 4th and 2 from the 32. Hasselbeck complete. Darrell Jackson able to hang on at the 23-yard line. Gain of 9.
Well, that time he hung on. It's like, it's the easy passes these guys drop. The ones that are right to them. Tough passes, these guys look like they concentrate harder. It's a good move because right there, Jeremetrius Butler was trying to prevent Jackson from getting inside. Big throw by Hasselbeck that time.
Jackson up to 91 yards on the day, has a touchdown back in the second quarter. From the 23, Alexander does a 360. And after all that, no gain. Sean Alexander is always smiling.
Yeah. You know what? He's having a good life, though. I mean, he's just having a good time. You know, the former #1 pick at Alabama, and he's played behind Ricky Water here. But enjoyed his bye week, went down to a Fox pregame show, was down in Los Angeles, had a good time. Heck, his daughter's name is Heaven. You know, I mean, he feels like this is heaven to him.
And she was born last year, the day the Seahawks played Seattle. In fact, he missed the first quarter of that game.
Yeah. We want to be there for a special moment in his life.
His demeanor reminds me a lot of Tiki Barber, who also had a big day today.
Huge day. Big win for the Giants down there in Dallas today.
Alexander. No gain. Adam Archuleta made the tackle. JB, what's going on down in Los Angeles?
Well, take a look. A lot happening in Denver. Take a look at this outstanding play, Kenny and Brian. Jake Plummer hooking up with Ashley Lee over his shoulder. Great concentration. Had control. It was challenged, but it stood. Denver now on top of Carolina, 2017, late in the fourth. Back to Kenny and Brian.
The two Jakes hooking up today. Jake Delhomme and Jake Plummer both came into the league in '97.
Both finding success on other teams. Plummer coming from Arizona, Jake Delhomme coming from New Orleans.
3rd and 9. Pass is caught by Corin Robinson. Stopped about 2 yards shy of the first by Tommy Colley.
You know who's the freshest guy on the field right now? Is the left tackle, Walter Jones. I mean, I can't imagine anything being easier than the way Walter Jones plays this game. He doesn't come to training camp, doesn't train in the isn't around the team in the offseason, goes down to Huntsville, Alabama. Got a home being built down there. It's just plays over in a couple seconds for him, doesn't get hurt. Started 110 straight games for the Seahawks here. Never in the training room.
34-yard attempt. Josh Brown extending the Seahawks lead. If you push trucks as a 16-year-old like Walter Jones did, you would feel pretty fresh.
There's a
playing in a football game.
Yeah. Well, you're fresh and you're happy. Now that's the workhorse of this Seattle Seahawks team, the offensive line. And if you want to see a team that's undefeated in this league, and there's 4 of them right now, Kenny, look at the offensive line and look how well they're playing and who's on it. Hutchinson and Walter Jones from the Pro Bowl a year ago. Solid veteran Robbie Topek at center.
Arlen Harris brings it out to the 35-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, that's the foundation of a good football team right there. Chris Terry at right tackle. You know, an offensive line will always sit down together. You got the right tackle, the right guard, the center. I mean, these guys are, you know, they're creatures of habit. They sit down the same way that they line up. Yeah, Walter Jones, he gets the last seat on the bench. Him during training camp. But Walter is one of those franchise tag guys. He's waiting for the big long-term contract, and if they're not going to get it to him, he'll just play one-year deals at a time.
Bulger, Steven Jackson, but Anthony Simmons was right there.
Tell you, these guys are flying around, and they're having some fun, and they're making a name for themselves. This is what the #1 ranked defense in this league coming into today has done so far. 3 interceptions from that secondary, 2 by Lucas, 1 by Trufant, a couple of sacks, deflected passes, and they've held Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce to 71 combined receiving yards. Now, to Ray, the sky is still going to fall today. Something still went wrong. He's still not going to be happy.
Well, they gave up 10 points for the first time this year.
Yeah.
Seahawks had allowed 13 points over their first 3 games combined. From the 31. Broken up.
One.
Trufant nearly had a second.
Yeah, he was trying to. There might be a little competition going on in that secondary about who's going to get more today between him and Lucas.
Defense.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's Trufant here. These guys have They've been playing mostly zone today, but to be a great zone team, you have to have excellent man-to-man skill. When that ball's in the air, you got to be able to break on it. Like you see the Ram receiver slipping, you don't see the Seahawk defender slip.
Trufant, aside from his interception, has broken up 3 passes today and has 7 tackles.
That's a good afternoon.
3rd down, 13. Bulger, pump fakes, throws, complete. 1st down. Isaac Bruce into Seahawks territory, and there is a flag, a 20-yard pickup by Bruce.
Well, if you give Mark Bulger and Isaac Bruce that much time, they will find a way to complete a pass down the field. Like this is going to be a late hit.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Number 99, a hit to the face mask. 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
I tell you, with Bernard in his face, stayed awfully calm. You know, that clock inside a quarterback's head right there. Ooh, that was right. That's just, they're going to throw that flag every time. Bulger still didn't take his eyes off down the field after Rocky Bernard slammed 2 paws on his helmet.
Rocky Bernard already has 3 sacks this year.
Well, the guy that they like in this defensive line right now is the rookie right here, number 90, Marcus Tubbs. Big guy out of Texas who has some good pass rush ability.
1st and 10 from the 34 of the Seahawks. Sidearm throw by Bulger. Incomplete. Intended for Sean McDonald.
Well, you know, any pocket quarterback, whether it's Kurt Warner, Bulger, you know, these guys that like to set their feet, if you can disrupt them, make their feet move, not let them get set, you're always going to destroy the rhythm and the timing of it.
You saw that Jets score. They lead by 2 in the final minute. One of the 4 remaining Falcons lost for the first time.
Yeah, and Mark Bulger has been hurried 18 times today. Great pressure put on by the front 4.
On 2nd down, Jackson tackled by Rocky Bernard. After a gain of 2 down to the 32-yard line.
You know, coming into this season, you know, this Seahawks team, they hadn't played well on the road. They only won 2 games on the road last year. They lost in the playoff game up in Green Bay, and the schedule makers didn't do them any favor. Their first 2 games this year was at New Orleans and at Tampa. And they went down there and they took care of business. And it was the defense that did it. They kept them in the games. They shut the Saints down. They shut Tampa Bay down. And that really got this whole thing ignited. They got a swagger now going on the road.
3rd down and 8. Bulger firing. It's caught by McDonald. 1st down inside the Seahawks 10. Sean McDonald, 2nd-year receiver out of Arizona State, picks up 24 yards.
You know, even though they gave up a big pass play there, and that's not going to make Ray Rhodes happy, they still are able to tackle and get the guy down. You know, St. Louis still isn't able to just go down the field and beat him on deep passes. They're giving things underneath right now. They've got a three-score lead at the moment. They're giving up those kind of passes. But any good defense wants to defend its goal line, regardless of the situation.
From the 8, 1st and goal. Bulger looking end zone and hits the crossbar with the pass. Intended for Torrey Holt.
The one guy that we haven't talked about for the Seahawks defense is Chike O'Keefer. He was the right end last year, and when Wistrom came and signed, O'Keefer went from right end to left end. And he has 2 sacks today. He's been a real workhorse guy. He's kind of a flaky guy. He's out there. Him and Grant get along real good together. He's been coming off the edge against Grant Williams, a former Seahawk, and he's having a good afternoon.
O'Keefer and Wistrom met by chance in Hawaii during the offseason.
Really, like on some wave out there in Honolulu.
Bulger still on his feet. Throws to the end zone. And the catch is made for a touchdown by Brandon Manu Maliuna. surrounded by Seahawks, able to make the catch for the Rams score.
And I'm not sure if that ball was meant for him. Kind of think that he was looking at Isaac Bruce in the back of the end zone, who was actually out of bounds on the play, beyond the end zone line. But what a catch by the tight end. Bulger just kept himself alive. Guys nipping at his feet, stayed on him, kept his head up.
An 8-play, 66-yard drive. Wilkins for the point after. So the Rams within 10 with 5:34 remaining in the fourth here in Seattle.
Bobby Taylor working on him. They've got him sandwiched. I mean, that's a double team there. Wow. He went up in a crowd of 3 defenders. Look at the protection here. Guy's nipping at Bulger's feet, keeps his head up. I don't know how he got that ball off like that. That thing came out sidearm, came out high. Look at that. Ball was, I think, tipped inside there by Anthony Simmons. Well, that's Chike O'Keefer getting another hit on him. That didn't feel good.
So the Seahawks, for the first time this season, have allowed 2 touchdowns in a game. They had given up only 1 touchdown over their first 3 games.
That's Manu Leona. Sorry. Well, I mean, help me out here, Kenny.
Manu Maliuna.
Yeah. You know, and it's the end of the day here. I'm just that guy is as big as an offensive tackle. He's 300 pounds, and he's a great blocker. They can get some receptions like that out of him. It just bounces offense up even more. Remember last week, the 3 touchdowns the Rams scored were all first career touchdowns for all the guys that scored. McDonald, good speed, Jackson, and Steve Jackson.
Now remember, keep this in mind, Brian, Rams have only 1 timeout remaining. They used 2 already. Morris on the return to the 20. Seahawks heading to Foxborough next weekend, and so are JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy. America's #1 pregame show will hit the road to the home of the unbeaten Patriots. Jimmy will count down his 10 greatest teams of all time, plus 10 yards with TV. Fox NFL Sunday from Foxborough next week.
Remember, Belichick in this offseason went down to visit Jimmy Johnson down in the Florida Keys where Jimmy lives, and Belichick really wanted to kind of pick his brain about, you know, the dangers of repeating and what stops a team from repeating and how you escape those traps. Feeling too good about yourself and too confident.
Patriots last lost to the Redskins last September. Alexander, as the Seahawks will look to get some time off the clock.
This is when a good offense kicks it into gear. You know, I mean, the defense needs the ball back in the worst way. They're going to try to strip the ball. They'll gamble like crazy, just jamming the line of scrimmage. This is when an offense can really establish itself. You know, you get to 55 minutes in a game, and you can just get a first down after first down, melt the clock, you know, and not allow the Rams offense to come on the field. That can make you feel as good about yourself as anything you've done all day.
Under 5 minutes remaining, 2nd down and 8 from the 23. Alexander out to the 30-yard line, and it's 7. Tommy Polley made the tackle stop a yard shy of the first.
And here's the key 3rd down right now, 3rd and short. You bet that Alexander will get his hands on this ball again as they try to run down this clock.
Mike Holmgren with some ties to the city of St. Louis. He was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals back in 1970. Went to training camp. Quarterback out of USC. Seahawks hoping the clock goes even quicker than it has been. 3rd down and 1. Alexander. Let's see where they spot it.
Boy, the Rams offense is up off the bench. They want another crack at this. Yellow line, of course, is the first down line. And Looks like they're short.
The short, says Pete Morelli, the referee. And the Rams have used their final timeout, which means if they want to challenge a play prior to the 2-minute warning, they cannot.
Remember last week we were in Cleveland and Joe Gibbs didn't have any timeouts left at the end of that game, and a call outside the 2 minutes, chance to challenge it, maybe overturn a fumble. Didn't have it. Mike Martz says he doesn't care about timeouts. He'd rather get the play right, no matter how early in the game it is or in the half, to get the play right rather than rely on it.
However, he might not be able to get a play right on a potential challenge. He does not have any timeouts left. Of course, under 2 minutes, any potential challenge goes up to the replay booth. Good punt by Ruin. This is McDonald. Sean McDonald.
Needs a few blocks.
Out to midfield, and it's Heath Evans, the backup fullback, who finally forces him out of bounds after a 33-yard return.
The Rams still have life. They may be trying to play fast and furious. It might be a little late for it, but there's still life with this team here on the road.
Line of scrimmage will be the Seattle 41. Mike Martz and the Rams trailing by 10.
One thing you know about any defense going up against the Rams, they all know how dangerous this team can be, regardless of the score or the time of the game. And so you can never shut it down against this offense.
.337 remaining from the Seattle 41. Jackson, the lone back. Bulger to the air on first down.
Got him.
He's going deep.
Wow.
Touchdown.
Oh, man. What a
Kevin
play.
Curtis. 41 yards.
Oh, that was a strike. And man, can this offense strike fast.
We welcome those of you who have just joined us, who have been watching the Broncos and the Carolina Panthers. .330 remaining, fourth quarter here in Seattle. For those of you who have just joined us from Denver, the St. Louis Rams, who trailed 27-10 just moments ago, have now pulled to within 3. A 41-yard touchdown pass from Mark Bulger to Kevin Curtis.
Well, Bulger here is going to pump fake to the right. This is double coverage. Bobby Taylor there, Terrell Vieira, Kenny Lucas. That's the first time this year a receiver has gotten behind the defense for a touchdown like that. And there's no excuse for that, because you should be playing deep to short. You should never allow the receiver to get behind you. And here today, Lucas, a couple of interceptions. Bulger getting hot here in the fourth quarter.
Bulger has thrown 2 touchdown passes, also ran another one in. Marshall Faulk only 46 yards. Now remember, the Rams do not have any timeouts remaining. Is it too early to onside kick?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think you still have 3.5 minutes to go. You got the 2-minute warning, which is going to stop the clock. I think, the defense feels pretty good about itself, Kenny. They just had a 3-and-out for Seattle in the last series. I would kick off here. You just saw that offense scored on one play. I mean, they have that kind of striking ability. Jeff Wilkins, their field goal kicker, has got a good, strong leg. Kicked a couple over 50 yards this year.
The Rams with 2 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes, 4 seconds to pull to within a field goal. Wilkins kicks it off. Taken at the 6 by Maurice Morris. Trev Faulk, yet another tackle on special teams for the Rams following the 19-yard return by Morris.
Well, the Seahawks trying to stay undefeated, trying to get to 4-0 for the first time in team history, trying to stay on track with the Eagles, with the Patriots. This is a huge series right here, and it's really on the offense right now. Hasselbeck has been efficient today. No, 14 misses there. 7 of them have been drops by his wide receivers. He's actually been much better than what those statistics look at.
Seahawks led at the half, 24-7. It's now a 3-point game. Hasselbeck to the air on first down.
Wow, held on that time.
Torrin Robinson took a hard hit from Kwame Lassiter, but made the catch up at the 36.
Mike Holmgren getting a little aggressive here in the play call and getting Hasselbeck out of the pocket. He does this very well. Gets his feet set going in that direction, and that time he went back to Robinson, who's had a number of drops today. Allowed him to go earn his check.
A Seattle first down. Remember, St. Louis without any remaining timeouts, so the Seahawks will try and work this clock down.
Different formation here, a bunch formation by Seattle.
Hasselbeck to throw again, and this one is incomplete. Bobby Ingram, usually sure-handed, unable to make the catch. Clock stops, 2:35 remaining.
Well, that's the key right there, is it stops the clock, Kenny. Well, he's got Ingram wide open in the middle of the field. You don't see a single defender around there, and they threw it behind him. That was a miss on Hasselbeck that time.
Second and 10 coming up. Seahawks lead by 3. Three wide receivers set. Alexander out across the 40.
They should run this down to the 2-minute warning here. Be a third down coming back after the timeout.
Seahawks will take it all the way down.
It really is going to come down to one play here on third down.
It'll be 3rd down and 5. Remember, the Rams without any remaining timeouts. They used 2 in the 3rd quarter, 1 here in the 4th. They have come back from a 17-point deficit, trail by only 3 with 2 minutes remaining in Seattle.
Well, the passing game of Seattle today has been some good and some great. Excellent throws and catches, and then it's been full of drops as well. The inconsistency in their passing game from the receivers right now is hurting this football.
3rd down and 5. If the Seahawks convert, they will be able to run out the clock. They must get to the 46 for a first down. Hasselbeck in trouble. Down he goes. Lost the football. Looks like the Seahawks have recovered. They will be forced to punt, and it will be the place kicker, Josh Brown, who will punt. Tom Ruin out with a pulled hamstring.
Kenny, they broke down the protection of the Seahawks that time. Leonard Little, their best defensive player by far, is unblocked in this play. Everybody squeezed down to take the blitz inside, and Leonard Little was right on top of Hasselbeck. Couple of really good defensive series by the Rams defense the last 2 times on the field.
So the place kicker, Brown, forced to punt here, Brian, with 1 minute and 25 seconds remaining. Seahawks use a timeout. Tom Ruin, the veteran punter, on the sidelines with a pulled hamstring.
Well, I tell you, regardless of what happens here today, in New England and Philadelphia, when they've gotten leads like this in the 4th quarter, they put teams away. They don't allow the opponent to get back into the game. Mike Holmgren right now wants to know if this is all nightmare here in the 4th quarter. Give credit to Mike Martz and his group. They've kept clawing, fighting. Bulger has gotten razor hot here in the 4th quarter. We'll see if they can keep this thing going. Josh Brown has not been in this situation before in the NFL.
Punter back in high school.
Rams playing for a return all the way. They're doubling the outside guys here, playing for the return.
Brown gets it away. Sean McDonald. Tackled at the 37. 35-yard punt. Tracy White, the tackle on special teams. Mark Bulger in this fourth quarter, 5 for 9, 90 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 1 interception.
Here it is. I mean, Seattle came in with the #1 ranked defense in the league. Mark Bulger's got a little smile on his face. Who's going to win out? This Seahawks defense trying to hang on here, trying to keep the Rams from coming down the field, and you get the feeling that if Bulger gets time, he can't be stopped right now.
Rams need to go about 30 yards to get into field goal range. Falk thought about running before he had possession.
Yeah, and I think Mark Bulger's down. Oh, no. It was actually Orlando Pace that was down. You don't see him on the ground hardly ever. That might have been the first time today he was on the ground.
Comes up limping.
Yeah. He's a mountain there on that offensive line, though. He'll go out there and play on the one leg, whatever he's got to do. Wilkins, who has kicked one from 53 yards today, or this year. Rams got to get to Seattle's roughly 35-yard line for him to have a shot.
From their own 36. Wow. Into Seahawks territory, Isaac Bruce down to the Seattle 37 with 1 minute remaining.
Plenty of time for the Rams. No need to rush, no need to clock the ball here. They'll stop it.
27-yard pass play from Bulger to Bruce. And now with 52 seconds remaining, the Rams are very, very close to field goal range for Jeff Wilkins.
Well, you know, the Rams lost a game a couple of weeks ago to New Orleans like this. Look at Isaac Bruce here. See that the zones are playing a little softer right now. The holes are a little open because they're trying to defend the deeper pass first, and you're giving those kind of openings. And Isaac Bruce just takes that ball right out of the air aggressively, just ripping it out of the air.
Rams with 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. Trail by 3 from the 37. Bulger escapes, and the Seahawks keep him in bounds. Brought down by Michael Boulware at the 34.
Orlando Pace threw a block on Grant Wistrom to allow Bulger to at least gain a few yards on that scramble. You try and pick up the first down here, go up and clock it, and then make a decision whether to kick it or not. They're in good shape here.
3rd down and 7. Bulger, wow, from the outside, and the pass is caught by Dane Looker for a Rams first down. Clock stops, 13 seconds remaining, a gain of 16, and here comes the place kicker, Jeff Wilkins.
You know what? I kind of think that they should take another shot to the end zone here.
I agree.
I mean, there's 13 seconds to go. This is a great throw by Bulger. They get out of bounds. There's 13 seconds here. Seattle can't stop you at this point. Why not take one shot to the end zone? If it's not there, throw it out of the end zone, kick the field goal. But at least, man, go after them one more time. Keep them on their heels. Keep pressure on them.
Similar to that playoff game against Carolina?
Very similar. Except Bulger's razor hot right now.
36-yard attempt. Wilkins' kick to tie the game is good. The Rams have come back from a 17-point fourth-quarter deficit with 8 seconds remaining. We are tied at 27.
Now this gives meaning to Fast and Furious. This fourth quarter is the way Mike Martz wants to play the whole game. Does he like this? Does he live for this stuff? He doesn't want to be down 17 points going into the fourth quarter of many games, but man, like a little kid out there celebrating. I think, though, they should have taken one more shot to the end zone, Kenny. Because even if you get caught in bounds, you probably still have enough time to come up and clock the ball to get your field goal team on the field.
The Rams have scored 17 points in the last 5 minutes, 26 seconds. 2 touchdown passes by Bulger. One to Manu Baliuna, the other to Curtis. And the 36-yard field goal by Wilkins. This game is tied with 8 seconds remaining in the fourth.
You say to yourself, how can this happen? How can a defense that had 3 interceptions and sacks and completely befuddle Martz and his offense for 3.5 quarters become unglued like this? What happens is the mentality is don't give up the big play. Don't give up the touchdown. And you keep playing further and further back. You give up more and more room in the zones, and all of a sudden Ike Bruce is catching passes underneath, and you're getting plays like they've just made.
Brought out by Terry Carter. 17-yard return. 4 seconds on the clock.
Kenny, I think people thought this was going to be a great game. This was going to be the marquee matchup here this weekend, and for 3.5 quarters, it didn't really live up to that. But this offense that everybody is scared of is alive and well right now. And it's the passing. It's the passing game of Mark Bulger and the receivers right now that are getting it done. And the defense has forced two big stops here in the fourth quarter to get the ball back for the offense.
So we are headed to overtime here in Seattle. Rams have already played an overtime game this year, lost to New Orleans 2 weeks ago, 28-25. Seahawks led this one 27-10 with just over 5.5 minutes remaining in the fourth. The Rams score 17 points in the final 5 minutes, 34 seconds to tie the game.
Well, if you're Mike Holmgren right now, and you're trying to stay undefeated, and you're trying to be the first Seahawks team to go 4-0, and you want to go to Philadelphia, out of New England undefeated next week, you've got to get your confidence back. You know, you've got to get the offense on the field. But, you know, he knows what way he wants to go if they lose the flip.
Hasselbeck's going out for the coin toss. What do you think he'll say?
We want the ball, and we're going to score.
We are going into overtime. Two timeouts. Fourth quarter timing rules will be in effect, and instant replay will be conducted from the booth upstairs. This is heads, this is tails. What's the call? Heads is the call. Heads it is. They've won the toss. St. Louis won the toss.
The St. Louis Rams will get the ball first in overtime. Headed to overtime. Rams and Seahawks tied at 27. Rams 17 points. The last 5 minutes, 34 seconds.
They can't be stopped here. You know, 2 touchdowns and a field goal the last 3 drives, and in just a little over 5 minutes. It's a confident group right now. You know, they're not so ready to relinquish top billing in the NFC West. They're still the division winners. They came in today kind of the underdog. Don't tell that to Mark Bulger.
Josh Brown gets overtime underway. Marlon Harris on the return, stumbled out across the 25 to the 29. A 17-yard return. Alex Bannister brought him down. Time to check in once again with James Brown in Los Angeles.
All right, a wild one in San Francisco, down by 8. Tim Rattay hooking up with Brandon Lloyd, a 23-yard touchdown pass to make it 28-26, and then the 2-point conversion underthrown purposely. The receiver makes a nice adjustment. That to Lloyd as well, all tied at 28. Big game for Rattay. Back to Kenny and Brian.
XJB, so both NFC West matchups go right down to the wire. Rams start from their own 29 in overtime. Pass caught by Curtis, who scored one of the fourth quarter touchdowns for the Rams. Gain of 4 out to the 33, setting up 2nd down and 6.
This is what it looks like here. You see St. Louis in the second half. Completely different football team. Seattle has not allowed that kind of yards, passing yards, scores in the first 3 games, but they hadn't seen an offense like this all year.
From the 33 on 2nd and 6, off the play fake. Bulger can't find anyone downfield. Now dumps it off, and it's dropped by Marshall Faulk.
Marshall Faulk, 2 uncharacteristic drops here late in this game now. Boy, Mark Bulger's getting protected. I mean, he was under fire for the first 3.5 quarters. Isaac Bruce on the sidelines right now. Kevin Curtis in there. Don't know what could be wrong with him or what is wrong. Certainly one of your best players on the field, if healthy.
Rams today, 60% on third down, 9 for 15 on third down, facing a 3rd and 6. They have to get to the 39. Bulger uses one of the Rams' 2 timeouts here in overtime.
Got a lot of young receivers out there right now. Sean McDonald, Kevin Curtis, Dane Looker. Looked like they were just getting confused trying to get lined up.
Each team gets 2 timeouts in overtime. Rams with 1 remaining. Talked about it earlier, Brian. These teams, this is their 5th game as division rivals. They always seem to be close games that go right down to the wire. Baseball coming up tonight. Cardinals and Dodgers, game 4 of the National League Division Series on Fox, following football.
Yeah, I tell you, big day for sports watching in St. Louis, huh? Kurt Warner and the Giants, the Rams here, and the Cardinals tonight.
No time to leave the sofa.
No. Extra bag of chips.
From the 34, first down, Torrey Holt. Out across the 45. Gain of 13 yards on Holt's 5th catch of the afternoon.
You know, they've thrown a couple of interceptions today, 3 interceptions. And when you play like this, when you attack defenses, Mark Bulger said you can't worry about the bad plays. You just keep moving. It's like fast break basketball. You're going to turn the ball over. You're going to have some bad plays. You're going to miss some easy dunks, all those kind of things. You just keep throwing. And that's what Mark Bulger's doing right now.
From the 46, keep it on the ground with Faulk, and he is across midfield into Seattle Seahawks territory. Gain of 5.
Mark Bulger said that on Wednesday they gave him 135 new plays to study. We took the books home with them, studied 2 hours a night, came back Thursday, another 135 plays to study. I mean, I wonder what number of play they're on right now in this playbook here in overtime.
Only 135?
Yeah. Deep into the playbook.
And he has to take playbook home, draw out each and every play.
Oh, draw up every play, every night.
2nd and 5 from the Seattle 49, and Steven Jackson is bottled up. Hit for a loss of 4 by Isaiah Kazavinsky.
Been a while since the Seahawks have stopped the Rams from a positive game. See, they got them all up at the line of scrimmage right here. That's a run blitz designed to stop the run. Mike Martz said something pretty interesting. He said, you know, everybody sees us motion and shifting and movement. He goes, a lot of times we do that for the running game. Try to get what we want in the running game, not just the passing game.
Rams have to get to the Seahawks 45. Bulger going through it all. McDonald, end zone, touchdown. Rams win in overtime. 52 yards from Bulger to McDonald.
Mark Bulger's already in the locker room. He knew as soon as that ball left his hands that they had won. And that is sudden death for the Seahawks. You can never count the St. Louis Rams out of any game, anywhere in this league, at any time, when they have the weapons and the talent that they have. And people can criticize Mike Martz all they want about play calling. This passing game was unstoppable in the last 10 minutes.
23 St. Louis Ram points in the last 8 minutes, 36 seconds. Sean McDonald scored his first NFL touchdown last week. Takes it all the way, 52-yard reception in overtime to put an end to the Seahawks' 10-game home winning streak. And They send Seattle to their first loss of the 2004 season.
Well, not only that, though, Kenny, they said that we are not relinquishing our title here in the NFC West. It's still our division win. Mark Bulger celebrated by running into the locker room. Getting off the field, he's going to have one heck of a trip back home.
.325 yards in the air for Bulger, 3 touchdowns. Rams win it in overtime. Seattle Seahawks fans stunned as their club led by 17 with 5.5 minutes remaining. Our UPS leaderboard, Mark Bulger, 325 yards, 3 touchdowns. Sean Alexander, 150 yards on the ground for the Seahawks. Sean McDonald, the game-winning touchdown reception for the St. Louis Rams. For Brian Baldinger and Amy Van Dyken, Kenny Albert saying so long from Seattle. Now to James Brown of the gang in Los Angeles.
Welcome to the SBC Post.